Starting right now. Download on your TV and watch for free.
Tonight, your vote matters. The polls are now closed across North Carolina. The counting is underway. It's primary night.
Several key races are being decided right now. One race drawing major attention, District 26 for state senator.
Work as hard as I can to make sure that the people in this area have effective representation that represents their values.
Top Senate leader Phil Berger facing a challenge from Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page.
We have to be honest with the citizens. We need to listen to the citizens, to their needs, because instead of listening to the corporate interests, instead of listening to the special interests.
Also on the ballot, sheriffs across the region fighting to keep the badge.
Plus the balance of power in Washington with the race to be your next senator.
And heated school board races as public schools face budget cuts and enrollment challenges.
These are races that impact your day-to-day life, your taxes, your schools, your public safety, and the future for families across our area.
Right now, live team coverage from WFMY News 2, your trusted source for results as they come in. Welcome to the WFMY Plus 2026 primary election show. I'm Tanya Rivera.
And I'm Ben Briscoe. Also helping us put the results in context tonight is UNCG political science professor Tom Whittle.
Hey guys.
Thanks for coming back.
Good to be here.
All right, so normally on election night, we'd start to see some election results come in, right, by now.
Right.
Polls closed at 7:30, but the state typically releases those as soon as they close, but that's not what's happening today.
Yeah, there was a problem at a Colfax polling station. That's just in the eastern part of our state, so they're extending voting hours there until 8:30. That means we here in the Triad have to wait about 30 minutes before results will start to come in.
We have live team coverage across the Triad. We're on the top of the contests in Guilford, Alamance, Forsyth, and Rockingham counties. We're also watching the state and federal Senate race as well. So many races tonight going to shape state government along with local law enforcement and who's in charge of your child's school district.
What are some of the biggest ones that you're looking at tonight, Tom?
Well, like everybody else, I'm looking at the Berger Page race
Right.
here in North Carolina. There's a couple congressional primaries that are interesting in Congressional District 4 and District 1. I think those are going to be interesting. And then nationally, all eyes are on the Lone Star State. What's going to happen in Texas Senate race?
Because we've got that whole balance of power.
Exactly.
And the possibility that the Democrats could overtake that.
Yeah, if they almost have to win in either Texas or Iowa to take it, because I think they feel pretty good about North Carolina. They feel pretty good about Maine. That's only 2. They need 3 for a tie.
Listen, I'm from Texas. I have a hard time believing Texas can actually go for a Democrat. Is there a chance for them now?
I think that's why tonight's important. I think if there's a chance, Paxton has to win the Republican primary. I tend to think Tallarico has to win the Democratic primary, but because he's more moderate. But a lot of people say Crockett can bring out voters who haven't voted before. If Cornyn holds on, the incumbent Republican, I don't think they have a shot. If Paxton wins, then I think the Democrats have at least the best shot they've had in a long time.
Now, you said a second ago that Democrats are feeling pretty good about North Carolina. Their candidate, obviously, they're backing is Roy Cooper. He's never lost a statewide election, but it's been, what, since Kay Hagan back in 2015 that we had a Democratic senator?
Yeah, because she lost in 16 to, or was it earlier than that? What's 12? No, 12, 26. She lost in 14. Yeah, she lost in 14.
What are the chances that North Carolina could flip?
I think they're pretty good, given, again, that Roy Cooper, if anybody else were on the Democratic ticket, I wouldn't think the chance is good. But as you say, he's never lost an election. Right now, the polls are showing him up somewhere between 12 and 8, 9 points right now over Michael Watley. And Watley's not as well known. He's well known in the Republican Party, so he'll win the primary tonight. I have no doubt he'll beat Morrow in the primary. But he's not as well known statewide. Cooper, again, not only was governor 8 years, he was attorney general for 8 or 12.
Right.
So again, he is extremely well known. He's also a very smart politician. He knows what not to say. He knows when it's time to just let things go and not. He doesn't make right. I don't think he'll make mistakes.
Right.
Looking at the comments online about the race, though, there's still a lot of people that remember COVID in the back of their heads, and there's a lot of people who have backlash against Roy Cooper because of some of the lockdowns. Do you think that's going to come into play in this race?
I think Watley will try to make it come into play, but I think there are just as many people that say, you know, we did a lot better than other states. If you look at, compared to South Carolina, per capita deaths, they were almost twice as much as we had. So I think you could make the case, yeah, maybe we should go back to school early, but I don't think that's going to be a big issue. If the economy doesn't turn around, I don't know that there's a lot Watley can do. That's the number one. Affordability is on people's minds. If that stays on people's minds, I think that Watley's in trouble.
All right, so you said affordability, which makes me think money, which makes me think budget, which makes me think about the North Carolina legislation and how we do not have a budget.
We do not have a budget. One of the things, whether you agree or not with it, that the Republicans did a few years ago was really, really smart politically. You know, in the national government, if we don't have a budget, then everything shuts down. They passed a law a few years ago, or maybe even just a ruling, that if we don't have a budget, you just revert to the old budget. So nobody's noticing that only people noticing we don't have a budget are state workers and teachers who would have gotten a raise. The rest of us don't even notice it. And, you know, again, whether you agree with that or not, politically it's brilliant because they're not up against a clock, they're not up against a wall, and people don't really notice it.
It's just kicking the can down the road, though, all the time.
It is, and rumors that I hear is people were waiting to see what happens in the Berger-Page race, because Berger, the budget, my understanding is that Speaker Hall and the governor have an agreement. It's the Senate that's not signing on to the bill. And if somehow Berger, now he'll still be Senate President pro tem until next January, we know that. But if he loses tonight, his power is going to be greatly diminished. And I think then you will see people say, okay, we got to get this done. If he wins, I don't know how long he'll hold out and say, you know, because he just has a different approach on the budget. But it's not partisan. You got a Democratic governor, Republican Speaker of the House on one side, and then the Senate President pro tem, a Republican on the other side. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out regardless of what happens tonight.
So one of the reasons that the Berger-Page race is so interesting is because Berger's had power in Raleigh for so long.
Decades.
What would change if suddenly he wasn't there?
Well, that's going to be the interesting. If you look at ideology and you go back, he became President pro tem in 2011 after the 2010 election. That's when he came to power in that position. And that's when Tom Tillis was Speaker. And so you had two very strong personalities. Tillis was, in most people's mind, not a cultural Republican in the same way Berger was. Berger was more social issues, cultural Republican. Tillis did some of that stuff because he had a caucus that wanted him to, but he was more what I tell my students, a traditional, what we call boardroom Republican. I used to divide them into boardroom Republicans and bedroom Republicans.
And explain what the difference is.
Boardroom Republicans, as long as the economy's good, stock market's good, prices are okay, they're fine.
Don't rock the
Bedroom Republican, more concerned with social issues, abortion, cultural issues, who's sleeping with who, gay marriage, those kinds of issues. And again, Trump, you know, if you recall, Tillis was the Speaker when we had out HB2.
Right.
And he supported it, but it wasn't something that was a big issue to him. On the other hand, most people see Phil Berger as more of a traditionally conservative Republican on social issues. Now, I haven't talked to anybody to see who they believe would take his place if he loses as pro tem. The current majority leader it's Mike Lee, who's from Wilmington area, but I haven't talked to anybody, but I'm going to kind of guess that they probably won't be quite as socially conservative. I could well be wrong. That to me would be the big change. Are they going to be as socially conservative and as supportive of Trump as Berger has?
Even though Destin Hall, the Speaker of the House, is pretty socially conservative himself. I mean, he's constantly putting out videos on social media on the social issues of Republicans.
Yeah, he is, but it's still not, he doesn't seem to really push the legislation as much. And again, on the budget, there seems to be an agreement between he and Governor Stein, and I don't really know where the fault line is, but clearly that's where the disagreement. You've got the Senate on one side, you've got Destin Hall and Governor Cooper on the other side, trying to kind of figure out where they're going to come in the middle.
So this Berger-Sam Page race has been one for the books when it comes to money, but it's been so lopsided when it comes to money. Usually you have both camps putting in almost the same kind of amount, battling it out. But Berger, I mean, $1 million of his own, $4-point-something million from like the PACs and stuff, and Sheriff Page, like just thousands, like 10,000.
Yeah, and I saw something maybe 45,000 by his campaign, and then there's a couple PACs, but I haven't seen how much, but I can't imagine that they're going to get anywhere near $1 million. I could be wrong, but I know they're not going to get near $10 million, which is what's being spent on Berger's behalf. Yeah, it's very unusual. I think Page is counting on, he's been, you know, there are a few people who've been in office longer than Berger, but he's one of them.
Right, yes.
He's been in office since '96. Berger, if I recall, was elected in 2000 or 2002 to the legislature, and everybody in Rockingham County knows him. And as we know, in rural counties in particular, sheriff is a very, very well-known and important position. And he has been very public in that position. He has his own image. He has his own reputation. And it will be interesting, but I'm not sure that all of the ads that Berger has run has really damaged him in Rockingham County, because they know him, and if they like him, they like him. If they don't, they don't. And I'm not sure anything they say in the ad's going to change that.
Sway that,
I think what he's looking at is maybe trying to sway Guilford County, because if he can make up enough in Guilford County, which is more of the votes that are in Guilford than they are in Rockingham. So that's going to be the question. Can he make it up there?
Also, though, if someone spent that much, outspent that much in a general election, it would have a bigger play. But because it's a primary and less people are voting, does that factor in?
Yeah, I think it does. Again, what he's trying to do is to get some of those people who haven't voted traditionally in the Republican primary to say, oh, if If Page has done that, or if he's done this, the negative ads, well, we're going to go and vote for Berger. I'm not sure it's going to work. I wonder if it's turned as many voters off, because literally you'd be watching a show, and I'm old, so we watch television. Go Channel 2. We watch CBS a lot. I don't stream much, but if you watch a traditional television, there would be 2 or 3 Berger ads in a row for 3-4 months.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are going to be tired of that. It will be interesting, and because North Carolina has the primary where unaffiliated can vote in the Republican primary, I think a lot of those unaffiliated voters that might have stayed home might say, well, I'm just tired of that, and we'll see. But I think it could backfire.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. And when you say unaffiliated, that is like the most growing area for voters.
It's not the most growing, it's the largest. It's larger than either party. I had the numbers. I know nationally it's 43 unaffiliated, 28 Democrat, and 28 Republican. North Carolina's, my head says something like 35 Republican, 34 Democrat, and 41.
Yeah, we just crossed over. There was more Republicans than Democrats because some people went unaffiliated.
Right. So, so the question, and that's one of the things Berger was arguing as kind of his closing argument was Democrats are trying to choose because they don't want Berger because they're Democrats and Republicans should support him. I think that may be one of his more effective arguments. If I'm a Republican sitting there saying, why are unaffiliated having an impact in my primary? I always tell my students, I view that like if you're playing a sports game and I get to pick the other team. Right. And when you play skins or shirts, and that doesn't seem right. So I think that's probably in my mind a more effective argument to try to reach those unaffiliated voters than all the negative ads.
Well, hey, while we're talking about this race, I'm going to walk over to the big board because I want to show people exactly who can vote on this today.
Great.
Okay.
So we've seen these ads all over the state, right? I mean, they are everywhere, as Tom said. No matter where you look, there's an ad. But it's only Senate District 26 that gets to vote. That's Rockingham County and this little part of Guilford County here. And it's only the Republicans who get to vote on this. The Democrats, they did not have a primary on this race because Steve Lookin is running unopposed in it. So whoever wins here will go on to face him in November, but it's a really heavy Republican district. I want to show you the last time that Phil Berger ran in this. He won by 13 points, 16,000 votes. So that's how heavy Republican this district tends to lean. So whoever wins in this primary today is probably who's going to win in November. That's why it is so important today. Some other big races we're watching across the state. Of course, the race to replace Senator Thom Tillis. He is stepping down, not running again after all the disagreements that he's had with President Donald Trump. He made that decision. On the Democrat side, they're really eyeing this, as Tom said, as a chance to try to flip the seat towards a Democrat. That's why they've got the big guns in, is what they're saying. Former Governor Roy Cooper, he is, and I want you to ignore these numbers right now. We're not expecting numbers coming in yet. This is just the AP doing some testing, so don't pay attention to those quite yet. But he is running, he has never lost a North Carolina statewide race, and he said, you know what, now's the right time for me to get back in. On the Republican side of that, it's the GOP chairman, Michael Watley, who is leading this race. And it does look like, if we can check the Board of Elections here, these might be some numbers that we're starting to pay attention to coming in slowly. Again, we're not expecting the biggest numbers until 8:30. Let me tell you, as the numbers come in tonight, first off, we're going to see all the mail-in ballots that have come in. Those have already been tabulated. They've already been approved. They're ready to go. After that, we're going to see the early voting numbers come in. And then after that, we'll start to see the numbers from today. So probably we won't have clear winners until about 9:30, maybe even 10 o'clock in some of these closer races. Not only is State Senate a big race, but we have some familiar names on the ballot. Virginia Fox is running again. She represents part of Greensboro. Of course, her district was redrawn. She actually lives in Boone right now, but the district was redrawn to gerrymander North Carolina up, giving Republicans some more edge a couple of years ago. And so she represents part of Greensboro too. However, this is becoming more competitive because it's got some Greensboro in it. So the Democratic race against her is really heating up. There's been a lot of attention on this one. Chuck Hubbard ran against her last time around. He's running again. Also, 24-year-old Kyla Creekmore. He's an A&T graduate who's running in this race. If he were to win, think about that. You have a 24-year-old against Virginia Fox who's been in D.C. for so long. As we get numbers in tonight. They're going to show us exactly where the votes are coming from. I love this map because you'll see this county is really going for one candidate, this county's not. We're waiting for those to start turning around. In the meantime, we do have some reporters that we want to check in with who are all around the Triad too. Our entire team is standing by covering this race tonight.
Yeah, and so we're going to start with, of course, that first race that you talked about on that big map there, and that's District 26 in Rockingham and part of Guilford County between Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page and incumbent Phil Berger.
Yeah, both have long histories in their jobs. Berger serving his 13th term. He was first elected all the way back in 2000.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, right? We were trying to figure out when it was.
Yeah. Sam Page has been the Rockingham County Sheriff since 1998.
Right, so WFMY News 2's Nixon Norman, she's joining us live with an update on the run for that race, District 26.
Yeah, right now I'm here in Reidsville, where things kicked off about 30 minutes or so ago here at Phil Berger's political party as people wait for things and results to come in throughout the night. Of course, as Ben said, we will be keeping you up to date on those results on WFMY News 2 and WFMY Plus. And something that you guys were just chatting about, something that I learned not too long ago, is that Senator Phil Berger has been in this political game for years. He first became a senator back in 2000 and then became a Senate leader in 2011. Something that I was thinking about on our way over here from polling booths in Guilford County to here in Reidsville is that over the past 15 years, the past 2 decades really, Phil Berger has been in the center, or at least in the midst of so many political debates and issues and topics that have made their way onto the Senate floor. He just has that name recognition that so many people need to win a race just like this one. Of course, he is going up against somebody like Sheriff Sam Page, who has quite the name here in Rockingham County as well. But whether you love or hate Sam Page, Phil Berger, there have been many things that he's done over his time just leading the state and doing things in Raleigh. And I'm going to read off some of those. Some of the things he has done is he has been able to lower state income tax rates or income taxes at one point. He has supported expanding school choice while he has actually opposed expanding Medicare, and of course he has opposed things like abortion. Now, Phil Berger may not be known for fiery speeches, but he is Trump endorsed. And of course, like I said, he has just been in the game for so many years. So many people know that name, Senator Berger. So he does have that going for him. Just here in Reidsville, there are dozens of people. There's even a burger bar. I had joked in the newsroom saying, man, what if they had some sort of make your own burger bar at his political party tonight? And they do. It says Burgers for Berger. Let us celebrate you and all the hard work you've done. There are a lot of his staff members in here. It's just a political party. It's your run-of-the-mill drinks and food and people just shaking hands and chatting again as we continue to wait for so many results in so many races across the area and across the state. Of course, News 2 will continue to keep you updated. I'm here in Reidsville live. Nixon Norman, WFMY News 2.
All right, so Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page, as you know, running against Phil Berger.
Yeah, our Amber Lake is live at Oak Level Baptist Church in Stokesdale, where he's going to have a party tonight.
Right, guys, and Sam Page just got here about 30 minutes ago, and he was able to speak with us. He said that he has been very busy today, which, of course, I mean, it's primary day. He said that he has been all over Guilford County, all over Rockingham County. He said he's got a lot of thumbs up from people going to the polls today, and he said that he's here for the citizens. He says that he thinks he is the best person for this job. I keep looking around because he keeps moving around. He's talking to all of the different people that have come out to support him today, and he is excited. He is hopeful for the results when they start coming in tonight. It's primary night here in North Carolina, and of course a lot of people did get out to vote today, so we're hoping those results start rolling in within the next 10 minutes or so. Sheriff Page, after serving as sheriff since 1998, is not seeking that re-election as sheriff. Instead, he's asking Republican voters to send him to Raleigh, challenging one of the most powerful lawmakers in our state. Page says he's nearly 3 decades in law enforcement prepared him to step into the state Senate with a focus on public safety, fiscal responsibility, and immigration enforcement. He says while he supports lowering taxes, lawmakers must move carefully around that. On immigration, Page says that he stands firmly behind federal enforcement efforts. Tonight, Republican voters in Rockingham County and parts of Guilford County will decide whether Page's decades in uniform translate into a new role under the dome. If he does win, he'll move on to the November general election. If not, it closes a 25-year chapter in local law enforcement leadership. And that is something that he's really holding strong to today. He says that he believes that he not only is one person for the citizens, he says that he believes that his law enforcement experience is really going to set him forth and push him past Berger in this race. He says that he is confident for the results to roll in tonight, and he is thankful, he is excited. He had someone step up to the podium earlier and say a prayer over this evening, and people keep rolling in, his supporters, just waiting for those results to roll in. So, I mean, we have a lot of excitement in the room out here in Stokesdale right now, guys.
The ads for this race have really been everywhere.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
every time you turn on the TV, the
You couldn't get
radio,
away from them.
you scroll on social media, everywhere.
Yeah. So, I mean, even though only a fraction of Republican voters will decide this race, the ads have just been, blasting the entire state. 2 Wants to Know's Kevin Kennedy breaks down how much money was spent on those spots.
One man is stopping them.
By now, many of you have seen the ads.
Berger takes big campaign
A
contributions.
high-profile, highly anticipated showdown for State Senate District 26.
My name is Sam Page. I'm the sheriff of Rockingham County, North Carolina.
A current sheriff going up against a long-serving legislative leader.
North Carolina is a welcoming place.
This heavyweight primary battle is certainly unusual.
I'd use the word rare. This is a very important race because of the potential outcome.
Martin Kiefer is the political science chair at High Point University.
For North Carolina, this is certainly a huge, spending race.
Albeit mostly by one candidate and his supporters. Phil Berger outspending Sam Page by a huge margin.
When you could start having super PACs and these outside spending organizations that could advocate on behalf of a candidate, even if they weren't supposed to be coordinating directly with the candidate.
The amount of spending in this race historic. So far, Phil Berger has spent almost $1 million. Sam Page just a bit more than $10,000. The third-party spending is just piling on. $4.2 million for Berger, $685,000 for Page. So why the big money gap, and why for a primary?
We're talking about somebody who's in leadership, who has a good deal of power, within the state.
Power those funding him want to make sure he has come November.
That continued influence is very important to them.
In 1 week, we will see who wins this race, but as far as spending goes, it's already a rout.
To give you just a little bit of perspective in regards to how unusual this spending spree that Phil Berger and his supporters are going on, in 2024, he spent $164,000 in the general election, none in the primary, and third-party dollars spent that year totaled $0. Kevin Kennedy, 2 Wants to Know.
Why is so much money being poured into this race, Tom?
Well, I think for Berger, this is his last stand. He wants to go out strong, and I think the Republican Party likes having him as the presiding officer of the North Carolina Senate, because he is, in most people's view, the strongest person in politics right now in North Carolina. And if they bring in somebody who's going to be a new pro tem, they're going to have to learn the job. They're not going to be as strong. And so especially with a Democratic governor, they need a strong leader in the Senate. And so I think that's really what's going on here, is they want to keep somebody at the top of the Senate that they know knows how to do the job and knows how to keep the Republican members in line.
And I was wondering, too, if people from, like, the Greensboro-ish Guilford County, those who were able to vote, if they would vote for Berger knowing that he's got so many ties to businesses and things of that nature, especially with Jet Zero and Toyota and all that kind of stuff coming to this area.
Yeah, I think they might, but it's interesting, in the era we are, particularly in the Republican Party, political experience is not an asset most of the time. You recall in the the primary last year, the only Republican that won a statewide primary that wasn't an incumbent and had political experience was Mark Robinson. Everybody else that won, like Farley for Labor,
right?
All these people, they had no political experience, and they beat people like John Hardister, who had 10 years of experience.
Yeah.
So right now in the Republican primary, a lot of people are looking for sort of Trump-like folks who haven't been there and ensconced in the position. So I don't know how many of those people in Guilford County look and recognize that what Berger has done for Guilford County. They don't see that. They don't recognize that, I think. I wonder, again, right now in the Republican Party, experience is not necessarily an asset.
Okay.
Speaking of the Trump effect, so Phil Berger got the endorsement from Donald Trump after getting the state to redraw maps to get more Republicans in Congress. Trump said he wanted that, Berger delivered on that, and then he got the endorsement. How much of a factor does that endorsement play nowadays?
I think that's going to be the big question tonight. Is that endorsement enough? And who knows anymore? Again, Trump's numbers right now in general are between around 41, 42% approval, but within the Republican Party, he's still at 80%. So I think it does matter. Again, the question's going to be some of those unaffiliated voters, it won't mean as much to them. But I think it still matters. I mean, you see it. That's why Tillis isn't running. There's no doubt in my mind. Tillis isn't running because he voted against Trump a couple times. He knew Trump was going to come out for Watley. Yeah. And I think he looked at the tea leaves. Now, I also think he's very frustrated in the Senate. Yeah. Because he was used to being in the Speaker of the House where he made things happen. He's been in the Senate now for 12 years, and for the last 2, they've achieved nothing. Right. So I think he's also frustrated, but I think he read the tea leaves and said, Trump's going to come out against me, and I can't beat him.
Right. And not all that money, too, that he brings with it. Yeah. If you're wondering, it's almost 8:30 and you're thinking to yourself, why are we not seeing any kind of numbers scrolling at the bottom of the screen? And that is because the state is barring any of the numbers to be released until 8:30. And so what happened, we had Halifax County this morning. They had an issue getting the polls open, and their backup procedures also did not work. And so they just said, you know what, we're going to extend voting until 8:30, which means that we are going to make it for the entire state that no races and results are being given out until that 8:30 time.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because you don't want to give out results and then somebody looks and says, well, shoot, that race is decided, I'm not going to go vote. So you never want to release results until all polls are closed.
And there's 2,600 polling sites in our state. Wow. And when you think about that, you just think of all the little, rec centers and, schools and all that kind of stuff where everybody has been voting all day long.
And one had a problem today out of 2,600.
Right.
That just really goes to show how efficient North Carolina elections are.
Well, and if you think about it, we've got to be the only country that uses volunteers to run the polling places.
Yes, that is the backbone of how it gets done.
Which is amazing to me that we don't have a whole lot more problems than we have. And again, I think that is a testament to our Board of Elections and to our local folks to make that happen. But you're talking about people that are volunteering their time and they go get trained and all that to do this. They're not paid, they're not professionals. It's amazing to me that it works as well as it does.
It's your community. So you mentioned Tom Tillis, how he is not going to run again, that he read the tea leaves. And so the senator announced that he would not be seeking re-election. And so former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper and Republican Michael Watley are expected to be strong contenders in the race, correct?
Yes, I would be shocked if they weren't the two running in the general election. On the Democratic side, nobody knows any of the other folks. On the Republican side, you have Morrow, who ran for Superintendent of Public Instruction last time, and came within 2% of beating our own Mo Green.
Mo Green, right.
Yeah, so, but from what I have been reading, a lot of her supporters have kind of turned on her and gone to Watley. So what we thought was going to be a hot race, I think is going to end up not being. But if 4 months ago, when she got in the race, there were a lot of very, very nervous Republicans that she could maybe not win it, but really tear him down. She hasn't been able to raise money. She hasn't been able to go out there. And apparently she wrote some kind of 10-page document, like a manifesto of all this stuff that people read and thought, what in the world is she talking about?
Well, I know starting tomorrow, it's going to be a really hot race when we know who's going to the general election. Lots of ads are going to hit the screen, including probably for this guy, Governor Roy Cooper, former Governor Roy Cooper. Kevin Kennedy is live at his camp tonight. Kevin, how's it looking over there?
Yeah, guys, a pretty good-sized crowd. We've made our way inside to the Democratic Watch Party right now. Obviously, a number of Democratic dignitaries are expected to be on hand tonight, but certainly all eyes, and the headliner tonight will be former Governor Roy Cooper as he tries to win a U.S. Senate race, replacing outgoing Republican Senator Tom Tillis. Roy Cooper certainly equipped to do this. As they say, this is not his first rodeo when it comes to elections. He is a two-term former governor, a four-term former attorney general, and he's held a number of other positions in North Carolina. If there is anything that you would consider to be a sure thing when it comes to North Carolina politics, it is Roy Cooper. He is simply undefeated and unstoppable, at least up to this point. He has won 10 general elections, 20 if you include primaries, and certainly, well, the polls haven't come out now, he is a heavy favorite to go ahead and win tonight, despite the fact that he is going up against 5 other candidates, but he is expected to win this and then move on come November. I was thinking earlier today, trying to come up with a comparison about what he would be thinking on a night like this when he is such a huge favorite. And the best analogy I could maybe come up with is, look, he's a really good player on a really good team, and this is kind of like spring training for him. It's about kind of getting in your pitches or your swings. In his case, it's about thanking your constituents, thanking your supporters, thanking your volunteers, and then kind of rallying that base. The campaign season for him most likely will kind of kick off tomorrow. That's kind of becomes his regular season. And then it really is all gearing up towards what would be his World Series come November, which is the general election. That's when he wants to be peaking. That's when he wants to essentially kind of bring this thing home. If he does, and he becomes the next senator here in North Carolina, he would be the first Democratic U.S. senator in more than a decade. And it's a big thing for the Democrats. North Carolina has become a serious battleground state. Right now, 53 Republican senators, 45 Democrats, and 2 independent that lean towards the right. So for the Democrats to take over the Senate, they would really have to go ahead and flip about 4 seats. Certainly one of their best options is Roy Cooper. As we said, he is a consistent winner. The Democrats probably could not have a better person in line to run for this Senate seat. He was obviously chosen to go ahead and take care of that. We're going to continue to monitor the situation. We've been told the program is getting ready to kick underway. We expect the former governor to be here probably within an hour or so and address the crowd. For now, though, we're live in downtown Raleigh. Kevin Kennedy, WFMY News 2.
Okay, that was a party for Roy Cooper, but we saw a lot of signs for another candidate. Who was that?
Anita Earls for North Carolina Supreme Court. That's going to be a big race because right now the Republicans have, I think it's a 5-2 majority, and the Democrats sure would like to pick up one of those seats.
We'll be watching.
That one's going to be interesting.
Okay.
So on the Republican ticket, Michael Watley has been the one to watch so far in this Senate race.
WFMY News 2's Julie Kay shows us how the former Republican National Committee chair has President Donald Trump's endorsement.
This is the room to watch tonight. We're at Noble Smoke in Charlotte, where former RNC Chair Michael Watley is going to watch the results come in for the U.S. Senate primary on the GOP side. Now, he is coming in with the endorsement of President Donald Trump. Not only that, but Trump was the one to select him in 2024 to serve as chair of the Republican National Convention. Now, while Watley does have a couple challengers, he is by far the front runner here. We're also looking at Don Brown, former Navy officer, as well as Michelle Morrow. After 2 years ago, she lost the race for state superintendent. So again, front runner here with that Trump endorsement. That is going to be what likely carries him through the primary tonight. The big question, though, will come in November if that is able to carry him through the general election as well.
Well, Margot Dupree appeared on the ballots, but votes will not be counted for her. This comes after the North Carolina State Board of Elections upheld a challenge against Dupree after ruling she is not a resident of North Carolina. She was one of 7 candidates vying for Tillis's seat. Her name remained on the ballot because by the time the decision was made, well, absentee ballots had already begun going out.
Okay, we're here with Charlie Collicutt, the Director of Elections here in Guilford County, and we're talking about what happens when the polls close. What's the process?
So we've got a lot going on right now. We're trying to get the data from our absentee ballots, the votes from those uploaded into our public system so everybody can see it. We're getting the early vote tabulation into that system so we can all see how those results are going. But all at the same time, the poll workers all at the precincts are shutting down tonight, and they're bringing those election results into us so we can get those election day results from the polls uploaded as soon as we can.
And so we get all kinds of numbers throughout the night, but that's not when the actual counting is done.
Right. So immediately when the last voter is done after 7:30 at all of the 165 polling places, they begin doing their own individual tabulation of the ballots that they had cast at their sites. And that it's not a network, it's not a computerized system. So those have to be done at the site and then brought back into our office, where we then can display those results. At the same time, we're doing the absentee by mail here, and we're doing the early voting results as well.
All right, and then after that night, after election night, things aren't actually certified until some time later. So what's that process?
Right. We do a lot at this point. Starting on Wednesday morning, we're going to begin doing audits of the ballots to the voter history. We're going to be examining our provisional ballots to see if there's any provisionals that were cast on election day that are still going to be counted. And we're going to be doing just lots of audits along that timeline until we're finally canvassed on March 13th.
And I think a lot of people think to themselves, why does it take this long? And there have been years in the past where they said this is taking too long, but this is the process that it's been done this way for years.
Right. This is just a long process that we've always had, and it's just a lot of behind the scenes auditing, double checking, making sure that every single polling place, every single ballot got tabulated that was supposed to, looking at provisional ballots for voters that may have had an issue with their registration to see if that was something we could get cleared up. Just a lot of things that it just takes time to make sure that when we finally announce that it's finished and it's done right.
Okay. And so after that canvassing time and everything is certified and all of that, then we start looking to the general election.
That's right. Well, first we're going to see if here in Guilford or anywhere else, if we have to do a second primary, if there's any really close races within one party. But if we don't, yeah, we'll immediately start looking ahead to the November general election.
All right. And with that, people are going to once again be voting either early and they're going to be going to different polling places or they're going to be going on election day.
That's right. For November, this whole process starts again. We're going to have by mail voting, absentee. We're going to have early voting with a whole new set of sites, and we're going to have the election day voting on that Tuesday, just like we always do.
So people will always want to know if their vote counted. And so how will they be able to see if their primary vote counted?
Well, ultimately, by canvass, we'll have the voter history done, where voters can see on the State Board of Elections voter lookup. You can go in, you'll be able to see your name, and you'll see voter history attached to it. And then know also through our auditing processes that we do post-election that the ballots were tabulated accurately.
Okay, so everybody can look at their own voter history and see when they voted, that kind of thing. They never get to see how they voted.
That's correct. How the voters individually vote once that ballot is cast, that's not something people can see, but voters can go and see that it's been documented that they voted and that voter history is tied to their ballot.
Okay, and if people need to register to vote, they need to do that during the early voting time, or they can do that before then. They just can't do it on election day and vote. Is that correct?
That's right. There's no registration on the Tuesday election day, but I would encourage all voters as we approach the November election, go ahead and get registered as soon as possible. The later you wait, you rely on having to do a same day registration at early voting, or you'll be out of luck on election day. So we've got all summer to get that done.
All right. We'll be talking to you again, of course, about this and the process and what they need to bring to the polls and all that kind of stuff when we come to election day again in November. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Breaking right now at 8:39, we are just getting some first numbers in from the state. I want to show you the biggest race of the night. Phil Berger versus Sam Page. Right now, Phil Berger is at 69% of the vote compared to Sam Page's 31%. He's at about 1,500 votes behind Phil Berger at this point. But this is really, really important here. This is only a small number of votes that have been tabulated so far. This is just 3,900 votes, and that's from Rockingham and part of Guilford. We know alone in Guilford County, there was about 37,000 people that early voted. So those have not been counted yet. What this is some mail-in ballots that are starting to come in. We expect to get more results soon. But looking at other big races right now across the region, our state Senate race, Michael Watley well out in the lead of the Republican candidates here, 64% of the vote. He's over 100,000 votes ahead of the next person in line. And when you look over at the Democratic side, Roy Cooper, 92.6% of the votes, over 230,000 votes ahead of the next person in the race right now. But again, there's only 236,000 votes cast. That is votes counted. That's out of 7.7 million registered voters across the state and 700,000 people who early voted so far in our state. Some other big races we're keeping an eye on. Virginia Fox, dominating her primary, just like we expected. On the Democratic side, for her district, Chuck Hubert is at 60%. He ran last time. He's expected to have some more name recognition, but 24-year-old Kayla Creekmore, who's an A&T alum, really is given some ground in this race too. He's at 39% of the vote right now. Again, early. District 6, we've got Cyril Jefferson, the mayor of High Point, winning this one right now with 47.5% of the race. If we go over to District 8, we've got Colby Watson in the lead there. District 9, Richard Ozea, 42% of the vote there. District 10, Pat Harrigan, incumbent in this race, doing well in his primary. On the Democratic side, Ashley Bell is in the lead for this one right now with 50% of the vote. Again, it is still really early. Let's get one more check on the big race of the night before we go back. Still, a few more votes coming in, but less than 5,000 counted so far. Phil Berger leading right now. Sam Page, 68-31, guys.
All right, so we are keeping a close eye on so many of the local races. And so what we kind of want to concentrate on now are the congressional districts that are Guilford or Greensboro centric. So we've got Virginia Fox, right?
District 5.
And we've got incumbent Addison McDowell.
District 6.
And then we also have Richard Hudson as well.
I think that's 8.
And that is 9.
9, okay.
Yeah. So what we want to do, we've got WFMY News 2's Manning Franks, and he's kind of looking at all the congressional districts in Guilford County.
And that's all. That is 3, count them, 3 congressional districts. Before we had the recent redistricting, it was only 1 really here in Guilford County, which we all know, the former representative, Kathy Manning. Now it's into 3, as you all were saying. That's 6, that's 5, and that is 9. Now, for a lot of these, like Addison McDowell from District 6, he's going right on to the Republican, after no primary, going right on to the general election. Virginia Fox is the only one, actually, who has some primary challengers. However, with the incumbency on her hand, I'm sure that she's expected to go right to the very end of that for the general election. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Stranger things have happened, but incumbency can be a very powerful thing. Now, in particular, one of the things I'm looking at tonight, in particular as I was going about doing all the different work here, is that for these, it's the Democratic primaries to face these more Republican-leaning districts we had in this redistricting. Again, that's 5, that is 6, and that is 9. Now, one I'm looking closely to, and that was District 6. Congressional District 6 recently had Addison McDowell, who is, in comparison to his other two colleagues in the District 5 and District 9, respectively, does not have as much incumbency as they do. He, back in a couple years ago, was on his first term back in 2024. Now, I was able to speak to 3 of his Democratic primary challengers, or excuse me, 3 of the primary challengers in total. I was not able to get to Keith Davenport because of some scheduling conflicts, but from the other 3, including Cyril Jefferson, Alyssa Casey, and then, of course, Bo Blair. I was able to speak to those 3. Here's what they had to say about if they were the ones who ultimately were able to face Addison McDowell later in the general election.
The biggest thing that made us run is we've watched a system for too long that continues to get rigged against the American people. One of the biggest factors is my wife is a naturalized citizen. We had a conversation about if we were going to leave the country or if we were going to stay, and we decided to stay and fight back. And our campaign kind of grew from that. We've focused on education, healthcare, accountability, affordability through housing. Our lived experience over the years is kind of what we bring to the table. I've worked 2 jobs just to make ends meet.
It's always been important to me that service guide the decisions that I make. Just like any other value, we are grounded in those values. And for me, the work I do here in High Point for our community, I'm very proud of. We saw $40 million divested from this district, roughly $17 million of that taken directly from residents of High Point for projects related to infrastructure, water and sewer needs, housing support. That kind of divestment is critical. And for it to be taken away, and for our representative to honestly not do anything to fight to keep it or to get it back, we saw that as an issue.
After 30 years, more than 30 years of federal service as a civilian, I said to myself, this is not the government that I want to work for anymore. And I stepped down from that position. That this country needs people in Congress to govern and to govern for the people and have accountability, which is what I did, as a supervisor. I had to be accountable. So that's why I chose to go right into Congress, because the rules, the regulations, I enforce them. I help develop them. It's my familiar. I can hit the ground running on day one.
Now, to reiterate once again, Keith Davenport was not able to join us because of scheduling conflicts, but for this District 6, right now I'm looking right now at the Board of Elections on the website. Cyril Jefferson is currently in the lead with Alyssa Casay right behind him. And obviously, as you've been hearing from us all night, this is still incredibly early, so take everything right now with a grain of salt. Again, that's for District 6 and District 5, as well as District 9 are the other two right now. But again, when it comes to incumbency, Addison McDowell has much less time in the in the U.S. House of Representatives in comparison to Richard Hudson and Virginia Foxx. So whoever is able to create or able to defeat their primary opponents will be meeting Addison McDowell for District 6 coming up. If you keep track, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on as many different races in Guilford County as possible. We're going to be talking about the sheriff's race coming up, the primary between two Republicans, Billy Queen and Phil Berger. And then in addition to that, we are also going to be looking at some of the other important county commissioner races like the at-large or District 7 coming up. So stay with us right here in WFMY News 2, and we will be sure to keep you updated when it comes to the local races here in Guilford County.
So Guilford County, some of the big races are about the state Senate seat and the Congressional seat. Forsyth County, it's the Board of Education that everyone's talking about after that big budget mess they had last year.
Right, the district could see more changes after the election. Nearly 40 candidates are on the ballot for school board, saying that they believe that they can help lead the district to a better future. I was surprised to see that 6 out of the 9 incumbents were going to run.
Listen, after everything they've been through, I think I would just say I'm stepping down.
Yeah, it's been a mess this year. So WFMY News 2's Lauren Tier got some insight from voters as they consider who might make the best impact.
Voters now say the next Board of Education must restore trust. Ashley Wallace of Kernersville has a 5th grader in the district.
One of my main focuses is the code of conduct. So these children need discipline and structure. We're not getting there with the current code of conduct. The safety for our students. We've had 2 children die in 5 years, lots of weapons and fighting in schools. And our kids need to be able to learn and feel safe and be safe.
Wallace says financial oversight is just as urgent.
The board that we elect needs to ask questions. If there's not a report there, they need to demand it. We can't just take word for it. We need to stop this crazy overspending and focus on educating our children.
Others emphasize this election affects the entire community.
I think the most important thing for the board is accountability. I think we need somebody that's not going to be afraid to ask the hard questions if they think something's not right.
Grandmother of 3 WSFCS students, Susan Gordon, says safety and leadership failures can't continue.
We've had kids shot, we've had kids bullied, we've had kids stabbed, and it's pathetic.
With 6 incumbents seeking re-election, Gordon says she wants change.
Truthfully, I think with the debacle that the fiscal years have been in the past, I don't think any of them should be on there because I think they have shown that they're not capable.
Both voters say the financial crisis and its ripple effects on teachers and students will guide their vote. Let's walk you through the timeline. In April 2025, former Superintendent Tricia McManus admitted $13 million from the district's fund balance had been used for bonuses and raises without board approval. Then, Chief Financial Officer Thomas Kranz announced his resignation amid an $8 million deficit and a projected $16 million shortfall. And by the summer, the deficit hit nearly $46 million. To chip away at the problem, the board voted to cut hundreds of positions, including exceptional children's teachers and assistant principals. In response, students across the district staged walkouts in support of educators.
We just had two big races across the state called by the Associated Press. The Associated Press is now saying in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate, Michael Watley is the winner with 64.2% of the votes so far. They're making this call pretty early on. Right now, there are just 23% of all the votes reported so far across the state. But he was the big frontrunner going into this, expected to win, endorsed by President Donald Trump, leading the national GOP party. On the Democratic side, they've also made a call in that race. Former Governor Roy Cooper is the projected winner with 92.4% of the votes so far. Take a look at this. He has almost 300,000 more votes than the next person in this race. Two big races already decided, even more results coming in soon.
All right, so we know both of the people who we're going to be seeing on the ballot in November, but when you looked, even though Watley won this race, the first thing you said was, I don't know if that's a good sign because of how close his other competitors were.
I mean, they weren't over close, but again, compare Cooper winning with 93%, Watley winning with 30 points less. So the fact that in this primary he only got 2/3 of it, that sounds like a lot, but in the primary where most people don't know any of the other candidates, that would worry me if I were him. I'd worry a little bit. And the other thing we talked about, I'm surprised Michelle Morrow didn't do better because she did win the Republican nomination 2 years ago for Superintendent of Public Instruction and came within 2% of beating Mo Green for the actual job in general election. So she should have name recognition. She didn't finish like 4th or 5th, had like 5% of the vote. But if you tally up all the others, over 1/3 of the people did not vote for Watley. And maybe that's because he's not that particularly well known outside of the diehard Republican folks. But I would be a bit concerned if I were him that he didn't do better.
All right, well, let's go see what his camp looks like right now as they're hearing that the race is called.
This election is also about our government and who it works for. Working families or political insiders. Under Roy Cooper's leadership, health care costs rose to the highest in the nation, and families felt squeezed by higher prices and higher bills. Those policies didn't hurt career politicians. They hurt workers trying to raise their families and build a future. As a state legislator, Roy Cooper voted for tax hikes. As a governor, he vetoed tax cuts. He proudly declared that he would have voted against extending Trump's middle-class tax cuts and eliminating taxes on overtime, tips, and Social Security. Roy Cooper has never seen a dollar that he didn't want to tax and spend. I've never seen a tax I didn't want to cut. Roy Cooper will always support more regulation, more taxes, higher health care costs, and inflationary spending. I will fight for more jobs, bigger paychecks, and lower costs. And in the Senate, I will aggressively push for tax policies, regulatory policies, and trade policies which will strengthen our manufacturers, small businesses, and farmers. Tonight, North Carolina did not just choose a nominee. You chose a direction. A campaign built on safe communities, strong families, economic opportunity, and putting North Carolina first. I will work every day to earn the trust of every North Carolinian who wants safer streets, affordable living, and a stronger future. Tonight is not the end of a campaign. Tonight is the beginning of a movement. A movement to restore common sense leadership. A movement to stand with working families instead of criminals. A movement to make North Carolina safer, stronger, and more affordable. Our state's best days are still ahead, and together, we're going to win in November. So thank you. God bless you, and God bless the great state of North Carolina.
All right, so AP calling it, making it an early night for that party.
Yeah, we are seeing a taste at that party of some of the ads to come. That
Yes.
sign at the very end saying Cooper,
for criminals.
A lot of that is about Cooper's support of
Amnesty.
Immigrants.
Yeah,
yes.
amnesty
Yes.
for immigrants.
And
And
against ICE.
they're going to run the ad with that victim in Charlotte. It's going to be run over and over and over, and they're going to put that on Cooper. I don't know if it'll stick, but they're going to try to put it on him.
Now, we also do have Kevin Kennedy at Roy Cooper's camp. We're waiting for him to speak. We're going to try to bring that to you live as soon as that happens.
Yep, we will keep you updated on that. In the meantime, what we want to do is kind of go back to Forsyth County. We had just been talking about that there are 37 candidates, which is a crazy amount, that are vying for all of the different seats there at the Forsyth County School Board. WFMY News 2's Lauren Tier is updating us on how tonight's races are going.
Yeah, Tanya, Ben, it's gotten a little more lively here at the Democratic Party headquarters in Winston-Salem for Forsyth County as these results have started to come in, and these people, all of these dozens of people here, including some candidates themselves, are closely watching the most highly contested races here in Forsyth County, which of course are for those 9 seats on the school board. There are 37 candidates that will fill those 9 seats come November. Let's take a look at some of the numbers right now. We've got votes coming in with 16.96% for Rhonda Mays, as well as 22.18% for Trevania Brown Gaither. She is actually an incumbent seeking re-election. There are 24 Democrats and 13 Republicans who will be running in this race, and the breakdown is there are 2 seats for the District 1. There are 4 seats for District 2 and 3 seats for at-large. We'll continue to bring you the updates as the night goes on.
All right, thanks so much, Lauren. Of course, we're all like looking at our computers and we're seeing all of the election results.
So the election results in Forsyth County still up in the air, but we do know that the AP has called Roy Cooper as the winner. He's about to speak now.
Accomplished together. Not only better jobs and more health care, but investments in teacher pay, child care, early childhood education, prosecuting violent criminals, taking on child predators, and keeping communities safe. And of course, after years of fighting for it, making health care more affordable for hundreds of thousands of working North Carolinians by expanding Medicaid. But now, a new challenge awaits. I'll take that same problem solving to Washington that I used here in North Carolina to focus on what matters. My opponent, who just won his primary tonight, is an out-of-touch D.C. insider and big oil lobbyist who's only looking out for himself and his well-connected friends in Washington. He has pushed schemes that raise health care costs, make communities less safe, and make life harder and more expensive for working families. How out of touch is Michael Watley? While your costs go up, Michael Watley says prices are down. When your local law enforcement needs more funding to make communities safe, Michael Watley supports DOGE cuts that take money away from them. When you wish you could afford your health care premium, Michael Watley celebrates a bill that makes it cost even more. It's dead wrong, and it's got to change. Let me tell you who I'll be. I'll be a strong, independent senator who will work with this president when I can and stand up to him when the people need me to. I will always put the people of North Carolina first, before politics, before party. The people of North Carolina will be my total focus as I serve in the United States Senate. I'll work with anyone, anywhere, from any party to help make our state better and to make stuff cost less. Because, really, what's the point of holding office if you aren't focused every day on how to get something done for the working people who need it? There is no doubt about it. We have a long and difficult road ahead. But even during these tough times, those of you who know me know this is true, I am filled with hope. We have a real opportunity here to return our government in Washington to the people where it belongs. Together, with the help of everybody here and those watching at home, we will lower costs for working families and win this seat in the United States Senate. God bless our great state and our great country. Thank you very much.
Back at it in politics once again.
Yep, he's back, and we will see. But again, we said he's never lost a statewide race in this state. Never lost a legislative race.
And he started his campaign against his competitor right there at his acceptance speech. Great, thanks. This is what's going to happen. This is how we're divided, yes.
So now we know the players. How important is this race in the national picture?
Well, I think it's relatively important, but the Democrats still have to pick up at least 2 more. So if they don't win in Maine, they don't pick up another seat, I don't think it's that important. But if they can be competitive, and I think they'll win Maine. I think Susan Collins is in trouble in Maine. They pick that up. If they hold Michigan, they're going to have to hold that seat. And if they can pick up in another state, and I think the 2 right now, I don't say most likely, possible are Texas and Iowa, both red states, but both potentially with some issues with the Republican candidates depending on who wins the primary. This is important, but it's only important if Democrats can pick up a couple more seats. By itself, it's not that important.
Since they've got to win the other states, especially Texas and Iowa, which is traditionally Republican,
tough, yeah.
Does that mean that less money is going to flow to the North Carolina race?
I think so. I think unless they look, the Republicans, unless they look and say we can actually win this race, I don't know they're going to put a lot of money behind Watley. If, let's say, at the end of summer, Watley's still down around 10 points, which is what I've seen lately, I think they're going to say, you know what, we're going to write that one off. We're going to put our money, and particularly if Iowa or Texas or one of these other states is close, they're going to shift the money there.
So Watley declared the winner tonight, but right now, he only has 63.8% of the vote. I think we all thought it was going to be higher than that.
Yeah, again, if I'm him, I'm a little bit concerned about that because the other candidates I don't think were particularly well known. Now, I looked up Brown. I didn't know anything about him until tonight. He is a former veteran. I mean, he has a great resume, but I don't know that many people knew him, and still he got almost 20% of the vote. If I am Watley, that's going to concern me a little bit.
Because he's in such a deficit compared to
right.
what Roy Cooper had.
Cooper, what, 92, 93%?
Yeah, the closest person is 2.9%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like,
Hey, we also want to give you an update really quick on the biggest race of the night right here. Right now, Sam Page has taken over the lead for District 26 from Phil Berger. There's only about 12,000 votes that have been cast so far, but at the moment, Sam Page is leading by 52.8% to Berger's 47.2%. It's a pretty close race there.
And it's interesting how it's different in Guilford County and Rockingham County, how it's phasing out there. Phil Berger is winning by far 69%, 30% in Guilford County, but that is totally the opposite in Rockingham County.
Yeah, 66 to 33%.
Yeah,
Sam Page.
it just gets
and again, there's no surprise there that Page is, I guess it's probably a little bit of surprise that Berger's not doing a little bit in Rockingham. I mean, that's his base as well. But Page has been the sheriff there for 30 years.
Right.
So everybody knew that they were going to win their respective counties. It's just a question of who wins big enough to overcome
the other.
But I think you said it was only about 12,000 votes, but it says 68% of the votes cast. So that's 2/3.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big chunk. So we will see. Can Page hold on to that? And it's interesting because the latest, and there haven't been many polls, but showed Page up around 5%. And right now, that's where we are.
Okay, we'll see if it holds.
Yeah, we'll see if it holds. But what percentage of the votes in Rockingham and what percentage in Guilford?
So in Rockingham,
55 still?
So this is the estimated total vote. The AP says 56% of the estimated people who voted have been counted so far. And it has Page up with 66% in Rockingham.
And then what's the percentage in Guilford?
99%. And we know that the AP's numbers might be off here.
Right.
Because there was about 30,000 people that early voted in Guilford County, and right now it only has 4,600.
Okay. Because I was going to say, boy, if 99% of the votes in, Berger's really in trouble if that's what's in Guilford. So those numbers have to be off then.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to continue to show you those results and tell you those results throughout the night. Right now, we want to take a look at Alamance County. Multiple races on the ballot there. Board of Commissioners, Sheriff, Clerk of Superior Court.
Our Christina Dillon is on top of it all. She has a look at the races so far tonight.
That's right. Our numbers are beginning to come in here in Alamance County. We are at incumbent Sheriff Terry Johnson's watch party right now. And as the numbers come in, he's got about 56% of that vote, where his challengers got about 46%. So this is the race to watch here in Alamance County, the sheriff's race, because there is no Democratic challenger. So whoever wins this Republican primary will be the next sheriff here in Alamance County. And Sheriff Terry Johnson has held this position for over 20 years. He has been in this office since 2002, and he says this is the first time he's faced a Republican challenge in a primary over 5 election cycles. He is running against Billy Clayton, and Dana Bird-Passor is also on the ballot, but she confirmed to us that she has endorsed Clayton. Clayton has lived in Alamance County since attending Elon University, and his campaign highlights more than 35 years of law enforcement experience, including service with the North Carolina Highway Patrol. I talked to Sheriff Terry Johnson about why he wanted to go for the job again.
I was born and raised in this county. I love this county. I still got my health. The good Lord's been good to me, and I want to make sure that our citizens are kept safe. It's very heartwarming. You know, I've been Sheriff Will be December the 1st, 24 years, and see some of the people that was with me the day that I ran the first time to now. Very heartwarming.
We've also got a few more races here in Alamance County. So the commissioner's race, and I want to bring you some live numbers on that right now. So we've got Kelly Allen and Steve Carter in the top position for the Alamance County Board of Commissioners on the Republican side, and we have got Ramona Allen on the Democratic side and Sean Ewing leading on the Democratic side for Board of Commissioners, and then Christy Culler is leading for the County Clerk of Superior Court here in Alamance County. Like I said, we are at Sheriff Terry Johnson's watch party, so we're going to keep watching these numbers, keep checking in with him about how he's feeling. Live in Burlington, Christina Dillon, WFMY News 2.
We now know that all of Rockingham County's votes have been counted so far.
Yes.
So back to the big race of the night here. At the moment, Sheriff Sam Page is beating Senate Leader Phil Berger in the district 57.5 to 42.5%. When you dive deeper into Rockingham County, he carried 66.7% of that county.
So that is all 14 of 14 precincts. Now, is that enough to carry him to win with Guilford?
I don't think so. It's 66%, but it's only about 4,500 more votes.
Right.
And I would think in Guilford, with the bulk of the votes there, it's not that hard to make up 4,500 votes. We'll see, but I'm not sure that that's enough to overcome Guilford County for Page.
So it's still up in the air, but one thing we know for sure is that Sheriff Sam Page will no longer be sheriff. He's not running for that again.
Right.
Which means there's a lot of eyes on that race right now.
That's right. And, you know, Page has been in that role since, what, 1998?
Yeah.
So it's going to be a substantial change in law enforcement leadership for the county. WFMY News 2's Bryce Parker has more on the race and the candidates.
Ben, Tanya, there were a lot of reasons for people here in Rockingham County to come out and vote, but none of them were bigger than the sheriff race. Now, right now, we are here in Eden at Republican candidate Brian Harbor's election party, but earlier today, we were at Reedsville Middle School, and let me tell you, those voters, they were excited to be there. Now, we're going to show you this video from Reedsville Middle School earlier today. We were told that at 4 p.m., nearly 400 people had voted at the Reedsville Middle School site alone, a testament to that excitement of this year's primary. One man told us that he usually doesn't vote in primary elections, but saw this as the perfect time and opportunity to start.
I just feel like it seems like more and more important to do that nowadays, and just as I'm getting older, I really want to make sure that I get my vote out there. Just trying to be a little bit more involved in the community and, you know, cast my vote, and hopefully the right people will get the jobs.
Now we want to give you a live election result here for this sheriff's race in Rockingham County. Right now, all the precincts have reported. On the Democratic side, Franklin Moore is leading, and then on the Republican side, Billy Parker is leading. However, it's still very early. Only 28% of the votes have been counted in Rockingham County. Reporting live in Eden, Bryce Parker, WFMY News 2.
On average, turnout on a non-presidential year is pretty low. All non-presidential election year primaries saw less than 25% of voters casting a ballot. So we talked with a local voter today about why they felt it was so important to come out and vote, no matter what type of year it is.
What happens here today in the primary ends up setting the stage for who we can vote for in November. I'll also say that local elections are super, super important. Again, I know we see a big push when there's a presidential election on the ballot, but it's really the local politics and our statewide politics that make such an impact on our daily lives. And it's super important for people to have their voice heard in that.
And with ballots cast, you may be wondering if your ballot has been counted. There's an online tool that is really easy to use so that you can figure that out. This is how you find out if your vote was counted. You start here, the North Carolina Board of Elections website. Then you click on the Voter Search tab. It brings you to this page. You're going to be putting in your name, your birth year, and selecting the county that you voted in. Then you click the search button. The website will bring up your name, and to view your information, click on your name. If you voted by mail or early voting, you're going to see this section. It shows the election day date, what county you voted in, the day you early voted, and in this example, it shows you the ballot status. This example showed a valid return and the vote status as accepted. If you voted in person on election day, you're going to look at the voter history section. This election day will show up at the very top of the list. Now, don't be upset if you don't see it right away. While voter history is updated after each election, it's after your county has gone through the process of assigning voter history to all voters' records, and this may take weeks or longer.
Voter turnout, there was a lot of people who early voted in this race, but there's a ton of excitement. Do you think the national politics have played a little bit in getting people more interested in primaries?
I think a little bit, but I think in North Carolina, particularly in our area, it was the Page race, the Page Berger race. The national, the fact that the race for Senate could have a national impact might have played out, but I think the excitement, you're going to see higher turnout in the middle of the state than probably either the East or the West, simply because of the Berger race.
I can't tell you how many people said, I voted early, shouldn't the ad stop running on my TV? Right? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry,
Please,
that's not how that works.
It doesn't work that way, but boy, wouldn't it be nice if it did.
We are in for so many more before November
Oh my
2.
gosh, because I do think that this now it's going to turn to national issues with the Senate race, and because it is a big deal, we're going to see an awful lot of ads. Again, we'll see if it draws closer. Let's say around Labor Day, if it starts to get really close, then you're going to see a whole bunch of money coming in. If, on the other hand, Cooper's still up by around 10 points, I think you're going to see the Republicans start to bail.
So it's not just the big national race, there's all kinds of local races we are tracking tonight. Let's take a look at how some of those candidates are doing so far. If we can pull up
We're going to start with the first one, right? Which is the big race, which is the Senate District 26 race, because this is what you want to see, right? You want to see how it's going, and it's 35% reporting right now. Page right now in the lead with 58%, Berger with 42%, and this is the mix, right, of both Guilford and Rockingham counties. We've been kind of showing you the Rockingham and the Guilford different like breakouts, but this is all of it together.
Most of Page's lead so far is coming from Rockingham County. We're still waiting on a lot of Guilford County ballots to come in.
It says on the State Board of Elections that all of Rockingham's in, so that 65% that's not in, if that's true, it's all in Guilford County, and that can't be good for Page.
Okay, let's take a look at the Guilford County Sheriff's race. That is coming up next. So on the Republican ballot there, you've got Phil Berger, and you've got Billy Queen. And so Phil Berger looking like he is winning at the moment. Again, only 18% reporting. Remember, the winner is going to take on the incumbent Sheriff Danny Rogers.
Okay, now let's go over to the Guilford County Commissioners at Large, the Democrat race. Kay Cashin has been an icon in this county for so long. She's stepping down, and this is the race to replace her. Greg Drumright is a big lead right now. He got really known during the Graham conservative Confederate monument when they tried to take down the monument. He led a bunch of those protests, and that's how his name got out there.
All right, and next up on Guilford County Board of Commissioners District 7. Now, we are going to have a new commissioner in District 7 because the Democrat, Frankie Jones Jr., is not running for re-election. So we've got Lisa McMillan and we've got Walter Johnson. So if we can change that so that we can see the Lisa McMillan, Walter Johnson. And right now, Lisa McMillan is winning, but again, there's only 12% reporting.
Of course, Board of Education also up tonight. We've got the Guilford County Board of Education District 4. You can see Ebony Burnett is in the lead there, but not by much, only 6% in from Guilford County on this race so far. Things could change.
All right, Guilford County Board of Election District 6. This is on the Democrat side here. You've got Kim Irby, who's the incumbent, and right now clearly winning at this moment, facing Chris Gillespie. The winner is going to face the Republican in November.
Kim Irby, an incumbent there. She's done a lot for the school board, well-liked among parents from what we hear. Okay, we also have in the next one, Guilford County Clerk of Superior Court, the Democrat side, David Churchill. He did get the Simpson PAC endorsement. That probably helped here. 64% of the vote so far.
All right, so right now we are going to take a look at, I know we've got Forsyth County up right now, but I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and look for Amber Lake, who I hear she is with the Berger page, and so we wanted to be able to see if that race and see what's going on in that camp. Is that what's happening?
Tanya, I can tell you that as soon as Sam Page took the lead in this race, there were a lot of people clapping and yelling and hollering for him. He was looking around, giving thumbs up, giving high fives. It was really electric just seeing everything unfold. Now we have him just still talking to his supporters right now, walking around and having strong conversations. But to the result that we have over here to the right. A lot of people have been looking at those results as they continue to pour in. The Rockingham County Sheriff is trying to get to the state senate. Page's campaign has been heavily on some TV ads highlighting the decade of law enforcement and its approach to fiscal responsibility for taxes and public safety. The team says these ads are designed to reach voters.
All right, so on a night like tonight, you're going to expect that some mics are working sometimes and some are not. We're going to be checking in, though, with everyone as they are going through each one of their parties.
Okay, so right now in this race, Sam Page still leading 56 to 43%. Again, a lot of Guilford County not in yet.
I mean, surprising and not surprising all at the same time.
Yeah, again, we expected Page to do well in Rockingham. We expected Berger to do well in Guilford. Again, if all of Rockingham is in, I think it's probably looking a little bit better for Berger than it did earlier tonight, even though the numbers show him behind right now.
And why is that? Why would Berger have more support in Guilford County?
Well, there's more population, and I think it's not so much Berger has more support, but Page has less. He's the sheriff in Rockingham County, so people in Guilford County aren't going to know him.
Right. The people in Rockingham County, they either believed what the ad said or they just didn't believe what the ad said because they know Sam Page know Sam Page. Maybe people in Guilford County don't know Sam Page very much, and so maybe they're more swayed by those things.
And, you know, they do know Berger. Like him or not, he's been our senator for 24 years?
Right.
So they know him, and if they, you know, we're going to go with the devil you know and the devil you don't. So I think that it's not so much that they know Berger that well, it's just they don't know Page at all. And what they know about him, they've gotten from those ads.
That's right.
Earlier tonight at Berger's party, they were having burgers for Berger, and they were celebrating out there. Nixon Norman is out at the party right now. Nixon, as these results are coming in and Sam Page is currently in the lead, is the mood still uplifting there, or are they getting worried?
It's actually funny you mention that, Ben. While I don't think there's a air of worry in the room necessarily, things were definitely a lot more energetic when things first opened up. There were people kind of lingering around, eating. Everybody has had their burger for Berger, and now they're all sitting down. Now, Things are still kind of loud in here. People are chatting amongst themselves. Nobody has a bead of sweat coming down from their forehead just yet. There's still about, I would say there's less than 100 people in here right now, but the energy has definitely died down a good bit, but it's more so just a wait and see, as all of us are doing at home and here in this room in Reidsville for Senator Phil Berger. Now, one of the things I also wanted to mention is, although Sam Page is doing better in the numbers when it comes to Rockingham County as of right now, something that Berger did beat him in is spending when it comes to this campaign. I just want to read off my phone right here. Berger's campaign spent nearly $1 million so far, compared to Sam Page's campaign, which totaled to just around $10,000. So that's quite the difference in between the spending that went to those campaigns. And of course, as we have said, those numbers are seeming to they're coming through for Sam Page over in Rockingham County. But of course, we still have a lot of time to go and results are still rolling in. So we will not know everything until it's all done, until the last vote is counted. And of course, we will give you those results live here in Reidsville. Nixon Norman, sending it back to you guys in the studio.
Okay, we checked in with Amber a little bit earlier and there was a problem with our mic, but we think we've got it fixed now and want to get back to her and see what it's like over at Sam Page's camp.
Yeah, guys, I'm hoping my mic is fixed now so you can hear what I was trying to say. We're here at the Sam Page watch party right now, and like I was trying to say earlier, whenever Sam Page took that lead a little bit earlier, you only heard screams and claps and excitement across the room. Then we had Page walking around giving handshakes, giving thumbs up. I mean, he's excited, his supporters are excited, and just like what he said to us earlier before the results even started rolling in, he says that he thinks he has this in the bag. He is not worried at one bit. We have had someone passing out signs right now. It says Sam Page, NC Senate. They are passing these out. You can see there's a cowboy hat on the sign as well. Sam Page told us earlier, he says the people know that he has done work for them in Rockingham County, and he plans to carry that over to Raleigh as well. Now, I know that we've talked a lot about these campaign ads, and Page's campaign has leaned heavily on ads highlighting his decades in law enforcement and his approach to fiscal responsibility, taxes, public safety. His team says that these ads are designed to reach voters across Rockingham and Guilford counties with one clear message. He's ready to bring real-world experience to Raleigh. His ads emphasize the challenges families face with rising costs and the importance of thoughtful budgeting. Now, we were able to catch up with Page a little bit earlier, right when he actually got to this church here in Stokesdale, and he said that he thinks that he is the best for this position. Here's why.
So I want to go ahead and show you again the numbers coming in for this race right now. You can see at the moment that Sheriff Sam Page is ahead of Senate Leader Phil Berger. Most of that lead is coming from right here in Rockingham County. He carried 66.7% of that county. All the votes are in for Rockingham County. It's a different story right now in Guilford County. In Guilford County, only 21% are reported, and Berger is leading Page with 69% of the vote there. There's a lot of votes still to come in on this race. As we're waiting for information about this race, other races have been called. The AP just called the race for Virginia Fox in Congressional District 5. She will be back on your ballot once again, a familiar name around here. The Democrat facing her still has not been called, but Chuck Hubbard is taking a lead. He's up to 59.6%. Again, if we look at the race from last time around, he lost to Virginia Fox by 19% in that race. It is expected to lean towards the Republicans, so it's likely that Virginia Fox will represent North Carolina once again. Also called so far tonight on the U.S. Senate race, the Republican primary, Michael Watley has 64.1% of the vote. He has been called the winner on that. And if you look at the Democratic race, Roy Cooper coming in with 92.4% of the vote from Democrats tonight. He will go on to the general election as well.
Much for that. So when we look at Virginia Fox, so the whole thing was redrawn, right, to now represent part of Greensboro.
Yeah. Gerrymandering at its finest or its worst, however you want to look at it, Greensboro is now split across 3 districts. And I can remember when Greensboro was in the 6th district all by itself.
And that was it.
Yeah. So the chances of Greensboro being represented by a Democrat, any part of Greensboro, is pretty much nil now.
Yeah, and so they were saying that the shift maybe made her race slightly more competitive, slightly?
Yeah, I mean, so you go from what she won 59% last time, I think what you showed, Ben. Yeah. She takes it down to 55. She still wins by 10 points. I don't think it's going to be competitive.
Now, she faced Chuck before, right?
Right.
She did. She won by 19 points last time.
Okay.
And while we're talking about congressional races, you know, they redrew the maps recently to give even more Republicans a win. A lot of people are saying, okay, we're a purple state. Why do we not have a purple representation in Washington?
Because the legislature draws the maps and the majority party it leads the legislature. And I don't blame the Republicans. If Democrats were in control, they'd be doing the same thing.
They have done
and
the
they
same
did
thing.
the same
Right.
thing.
Yes.
You know, they did the same thing when they were in control up until 2010. They just didn't have the good technology. Now it's much easier because we have the technology. We have much more information. It's much easier to draw a gerrymandered district than it was 20 years ago. Democrats did it. They just weren't as good at it because they didn't have the technology.
And at what point do we stop doing that so that we stop becoming so polarized, right?
I don't see in North Carolina, because the legislature would have to give that power up, and they're not going to do it. Because we don't have direct democracy. We don't have an initiative where the voters, in other states, the voters have created bipartisan commissions to draw the districts. We don't have that option. So the legislature would have to pass a law, and what you're asking them to do is to take power from themselves, and that's not going to happen.
It's interesting, though, that other states have those kinds of things.
Yeah, about half of them have bipartisan commissions, but again, in almost all of those states, they have been created by an initiative where the public put it on the ballot and voted for it. We don't have that option here. It has to go through the legislature, and that's going to be the challenge if you want to change that.
Yeah, and here at home, Senate Leader Phil Berger gained President Trump's support in his endorsement after redrawing those maps.
Right.
How is that endorsement playing out tonight?
Well, we will see. Obviously, from the numbers not now, we think it's not. But again, I think that Berger's probably going to hold on and win because the numbers. And if he does, people are going to say the Trump endorsement did it. That the Trump endorsement made the difference. Now, whether it did or not, I don't know. But if he wins, now if he doesn't win, there are going to a lot of Republicans are going to say, well, maybe that endorsement's not as important as it used to be. And you know what's interesting is we're probably talking about 2 or 3%. I think even if he wins, it's not going to be a 60-40. You know, he may just barely win, but winning is winning. And you know, as they say in sports, a pretty win, an ugly win's better than a pretty loss any day.
For sure.
And that's what they're looking for.
So, Ben, you just saw that they called the race for Virginia Fox, right? But we've got 2 other congressional district races here in Guilford County that we want to talk about. Manning Franks is bringing us up to date on all of that right now.
Hey everybody, welcome here. We are at the Guilford County Courthouse over here where we have some watch parties going on right now in regards to the slow but steady bit of ballots that are coming in at this moment. Now, when it comes to certain the congressional districts that we were talking about beforehand, one of the things that I told you before, as again, Virginia Fox, we had predicted to be, even before AP had called it, just because of the incumbency. It's really hard to beat an incumbent no matter where you are, North Carolina or any state in general. But there's one race in particular that I really want to talk about that I kind of teased prior, and that is the Guilford County Sheriff's race, in particular the Republican primary. Y'all know back in 2018, Danny Rogers assumed the role and the position of Guilford County Sheriff when he beat B.J. Barnes, a longtime Guilford County Sheriff, and now here he is again. He's going to go right on to the general election as the Democratic incumbent, but he is having a rematch, or could have a rematch, let me say, when it comes to the 2 that are facing each other tonight. Again, a rematch from 2022. That is Phil Berger and that is Billy Queen. These are 2 individuals who faced off in 2022, where Berger ultimately defeated Queen and went on to face Danny Rogers in the general election. Ultimately, Danny Rogers won another term, but these 2 are coming back again to hopefully have a second shot at being able to take him down. They're coming from 2 very different angles. I'm looking down at my phone because I have some notes that I've written on them. But right now, when it comes to Phil Berger, for those of you unaware, he is a retired captain with the Guilford County Sheriff's Office with 30 years plus in the department. So in comparison to Billy Queen at this time, well, Billy Queen is a Vietnam veteran and is a former High Point police officer with 28-year veteran of the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives Bureau, for all of you who may not know. So they're coming 2 different angles, one where it's here in the actual Guilford County where he's been here working Phil Berger for years of his life versus versus Billy Queen, who has been out and about with the federal side of law enforcement and wants to bring a different perspective. I got to speak to both of them, and here's what they had to say when it comes to their philosophy in law enforcement.
You have to set an environment and foster environment to get officers to buy in, to actually to participate in your vision for the sheriff's office. So, that's the first step that you have to do. Our retention has not been very good over the last 7 years. So we're considerably short in the detention area, and we're considerably short in the field operations and sworn deputy area. So those things have to be looked at first. It's kind of like you can't hook up to your wagon and go somewhere until you get the horses there to be able to pull the wagon. So there's a lot of things that we have to do and have to get our environment in a position where we can build that retention. And I do have plans to build a retention, and I believe I can.
If we keep going down that same worn out path that's gotten us where we are today, then you can expect to be suffering the same problems 10 years from now. We are going to go to the root causes of a criminal activity. And how we're going to have to do that is we're going to have the entire community involved with us. Now, you've heard the term community policing. Well, that's another thing. That's just another reactionary approach to crime. When I say we're going to bring the community together, we are. I'm going to reach out to the educational community, to the religious communities, to the civic organizations, to the government organizations. With all these leaders, bring them together.
So as you guys know, when it comes to, if you're looking at the election counter right now, Phil Berger is currently up 68.79% of votes right now for precincts reporting, but only 55 out of 165 versus 31.22 for Billy Queen. Again, it's not been called just yet. I reached out to both camps to kind of see where things are currently on their personal side of things, but we will keep you updated once we learn more, or one person declares victory or another one's currently succeeds gracefully to their opponent. We will see in comparison how that wraps up over the next few hours. But again, we will keep you updated here for the Guilford County Sheriff's race and see who will be facing longtime incumbent now, Danny Rogers, for the Guilford County Sheriff's position right here in Guilford County. Sending you back to you all in the studio.
So that was a county race, but
right.
The district races, which are more than one counties, have been interesting because all the district lines have changed so much.
That's right. Yeah. We've been casting ballots in House districts redrawn, all at the request of the president.
And today's election is in many ways a fight over gerrymandering. Our chief CBS Washington correspondent, Major Garrett, explains.
When we first met Kate Barr in 2024, she was a Democrat.
Do y'all have a plan to vote?
Running an energetic but hopeless campaign for the North Carolina legislature.
I'm running for state senate and I can't win.
Why?
We live in a gerrymandered district. I actually live in a gerrymandered state.
Sure enough, Barr lost by 29 points.
Some people call me a rhino.
Now she's trying something different, switching parties and running in the Republican primary for Congress, specifically North Carolina's 14th district.
The last time I met you, you were a Democrat.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm still progressive. I just have an R next to my name.
The tactics have changed, but her message is the same. Partisan gerrymandering kills political competition and heightens polarization.
The primary is where the actual competition happens. So Kate Barr couldn't win as a Democrat, but Kate Barr can win as a Republican in the Republican primary. Both ideas equally ridiculous.
Barr opposes ICE immigration raids and the Trump tax and trade agenda. If elected, she would almost certainly caucus with House Democrats. Hers, you see, is a more subversive challenge to redistricting mania.
You can look at almost any election that has happened in North Carolina on the statewide level and know that we are a purple state. We should be sending a purple delegation to Washington.
After the 2020 census, the congressional delegation was split 7-7. Then Republicans redrew the map, turning it into a 10-4 advantage. Another redraw last year is expected to add one more GOP seat. Interestingly, North Carolina has elected Democratic governors since 2016, and every presidential vote since 2008 has been decided by fewer than 4 points.
Do you think she's a Republican?
No, she's no Republican at all.
Barr's opponent, freshman Congressman Tim Moore, told us Republican primary voters see through Barr's campaign. Moore said he's never met Barr, has no real interest in doing so, and won't debate her.
Someone who is that far left, who is trying to come into a Republican primary to deceive or fool Republican voters, I mean that's fraud at that point. She's at least being honest about being a fraud, if you will.
I am being dead honest. People that vote for me know exactly what they're getting.
Okay, I want to take a look at one of the districts that has been gerrymandered like this for Congress, because it's a really tight race right now on the Democratic side. That is House District 6. Right now, the mayor of High Point is running in that, and you would think he'd have a big lead because there's a lot of people that know him, but he only is at 38.2%. Behind Alyssa Casey, who works for the IRS and has 34% of the vote.
And he had the backing of Kathy Manning.
Yes. Kathy Manning, who used to be in this district, said, hey, this is who I want to replace me. But she was gerrymandered out.
Yeah, and if you look at the district, you look at the map, High Point makes up a very small portion of this district. Looking at that map where he's ahead, that's High Point. But the rest of the district is not the part that's going to know him. So, but the reality is, given the nature of this district, whoever wins this is going to have a long shot
against incumbent
Madison McDowell.
I mean, they made it that way.
Yeah, I mean, by design, you know, again, what they've done is they've taken parts of the urban area and put them all in rural districts. Same way with District 5. You put a chunk of Greensboro along with Surrey, Stokes, Wilkes, all of that, so that the Democratic part of the district is really going to be overwhelmed.
So a lot of the national races have been gerrymandered like this, but there is more control in local politics, and our Lauren Tier is in Forsyth County, where there's a big local race tonight, all the school board stuff going on.
All of it.
That's right, guys. It is an absolutely massive race for the Board of Education here in Forsyth County. Right now, I'm at the Democratic Party headquarters in Winston-Salem. I reached out to the GOP. They said they're not having a watch party today, so we ended up here. There are a few dozen people here, including some candidates for those Board of Education seats, watching closely as these results continue to come in here in Forsyth County. In total, there are 37 candidates vying for 9 seats to make up that Board of Education. Of course, with all of the turmoil, the big budget deficit, an estimated $46 million that led to a reduction in force, cutting about a few hundred jobs as well as teacher benefits. This race is highly, highly contested. Again, the results are continuing to come in here in Forsyth County. Right now, we're seeing only 21 of 108 precincts in the county have reported their voting. Let's do a quick breakdown of what the Board of Education looks like. It's going to be 2 seats for District 1, 4 open seats for District 2, and then 3 open seats for the at-large position. Interestingly enough, there are 6 incumbents who are seeking re-election in this primary, and 3 of them are Democrats, 3 of them are Republicans. When we look at these races, at least for the primary, it's only the Democratic races and then the District 2 Republican race, as well as the Democratic race, that will be narrowed down in this primary to then be on the ballot for that general election come November. There are a couple other races happening here in Forsyth County. There's a race for a district judge seat, as well as a few open seats on the Board of Commissioners. Again, we're watching these results roll in live time, but as of right now, only about 19% of the precincts here in Forsyth County have reported those votes.
All right, we appreciate that, Lauren. And so, you know, this has been a long, drawn-out thing. I think a lot of people were really surprised that 6 of the 9 incumbents decided to run for re-election, especially given that there was so much uproar over the debt, then the layoffs and the furloughs.
And you say there's so many candidates running, how do you know who to vote for? Well, I've been following the Winston-Salem parents groups since all the money stuff has happened, and they've been all making their case on Facebook. It's funny to see them post and say, this is why I'm running, this is why I want your support. And a lot of them have become pretty well known that way.
Easiest way to get their names out.
Social
in a very
media
crowded
these days,
field.
right?
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here on WFMY Plus. We're going to be bringing you another election update coming up on TV and on Plus right here. So stay right where you are. We're going to be showing you some of the results from tonight.
Welcome to Primary Night 2026. Major races, major power shifts. We're keeping you updated throughout the night.
Yeah, from Capitol Hill to Raleigh to the badge in your backyard, voters are deciding who leads next. Tonight's headliner, Berger versus Page, the NC State Senate race, District 26. Phil Berger was first elected in 2000. Sheriff Sam Page looking to flip the seat. Right now here, it's a close one. Page with 56% of the vote, Berger with 44%. It's important to note we are still waiting on the full results from that race.
Also,
and then when you look at the numbers of the race that are coming in, most of the votes so far have been from Rockingham County. They're 100% in. Guilford County is just about 26% in. And in Guilford County right now, Phil Berger is leading by a big margin over Sam Page. Will it stay that way? What's going to happen? We're going to continue following this race all night long. We are over on WFMY Plus all night until 10:30, and then we got back on WFMY News 2 at 11.
We're going to get you updated right now. Phil Berger is talking to his constituents. Let's see what he's saying.
Just a couple of things I'd like to say. First of all, I want to thank my family. I want to thank Pat for her support in everything that I've done and everything that I've tried to do. I want to thank all three of my children. They are here tonight, Phil Jr., Kevin, and Ashley, and I want to thank them for their support. I want to thank the people in this room and everyone else who has either supported me, got out and campaigned, talked to their neighbor, did anything. I appreciate it more than I can adequately express. And I wish I could tell you that we had some certainty as to what the result is, but we just don't know that at this point. And it looks like it's going to be close. We continue to wait for the results out of Guilford County, and there's no way for us to, at least, trust me, I've asked the people, is there any way that we can extrapolate based on what we know I'm told that we cannot, other than it's going to be close. So, so with that, I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank, again, family, friends, supporters, and folks that, whether they're here or not here. I wish I could give y'all some finality. We will have a statement to make sometime tomorrow once we know what the results are. Thank you very much.
You can still do your live.
Okay.
All right, so that's interesting.
The big headline there, he said
Yes.
he will not talk until tomorrow when we know what the results are.
Wow.
It's possible it could be that close.
And North Carolina has a rule, if it's less than 1%, automatic recount.
Yeah, right now it is more than 1%.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now it is Sam Page at 52.5% to Phil Berger 47.5%.
All right, Amber Lake is covering Sheriff Sam Page, and so we're going to go and take a look at what's going on in their camp right now.
Well, Tanya, it seems like Sheriff Page has only gotten happier and happier as the night has progressed. He is continuing to walk around and talk to all of his supporters here right now. He is glued to the results TV that we have set up here in this gymnasium. He has been walking around excited, talking to different people. Of course, we talked about those signs that were passed out earlier. He says earlier today that he thinks that he has this entire race in the bag. He says that he will be adding a new perspective to Raleigh, and he thinks that he is the best person for the job. Obviously, this district includes all of Rockingham County and parts of Guilford County, and tonight Republican voters are going to decide who moves on to face a Democrat in November. Page has centered his campaign on nearly 3 decades in law enforcement. He told us earlier that that's what he thinks is really going to push him forward in this race. He said if they bottom out and the projections are not correct and we don't have the revenue, we're going to have to cut services. That's what he said about tax relief and warning lawmakers must be careful. He also made immigration enforcement a key issue, voicing strong support for federal partnerships and deportation efforts. But again, it just seems like he is getting happier and happier as these results keep rolling in. We've heard a lot of cheers, we've heard a lot of hand claps, and him going around and talking to different people. He has been on the phone a lot, so we are expecting him to maybe say something in a little bit, but we will keep you posted, Tanya.
Very different looks of those two camps. I am so surprised that Phil Berger simply said, we're just going to wait till tomorrow, not staying for the next half an hour or so to see what shakes out.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well. And as Ben pointed out, he wasn't wearing a suit, and his body language did not look like he was very confident. Now, I could be reading something into that, but.
And he even said, though, in his speech, hey, we asked the math guys, is there any way to know a prediction of what's going to happen? And they said no, it's still up in the air.
Yeah.
So it's still up, but again, the fact that it's up in the air means I think I would stay. It makes you wonder if he knows something we don't know, that he's going to go ahead and go home.
So there's about 14 more precincts that say they need to be reported at this point in time, statewide.
Yeah, and in Guilford County, which is what we're really watching in this race, 59% of the vote has been reported so far. In Guilford County, Phil Berger has a huge lead over Sam Page, 69 to 30%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one would think if that percentage held, that should be enough, because he's about 1,300 votes behind right now. And I would think that would be enough to overcome 1,300, but maybe not. I don't know. We will see. I'm with you. I'm surprised at the way he's reacting.
We also have just learned that part of the reason Sam Page did so well in Rockingham County was a huge jump in voter turnout there. This year over 2022, it went up 68% in Rockingham County. Lots of interest in this race.
It was a race that they really cared about, somebody that they knew, somebody that they've known for 20 years.
Yeah, 30 years.
30
He's
years,
been their
right,
sheriff
that's
for
right,
30 years, and this is their guy.
And Rockingham County is the kind of place where you walk in the grocery store and you see these two people.
Yeah,
Right,
you know these people.
Yeah, they're not just names on a newspaper article.
Right. All right, so we're going to have to see how this shakes out. Maybe we will have those results within the next 15 to 20 minutes as these precincts continue to be reported. What happens after all the ballots are cast, the votes are counted? Is everything over? And the answer is kind of like, well, sort of, but not really. Here's what the director of elections from Guilford County told us.
We're going to try to get that for you. One thing we do want to point out, automatic recounts in North Carolina. When do you have one?
My understanding, if it's the race is under 1%, it's an automatic recount. And that goes back, it's interesting that that law was passed due to a race in Guilford County in 1982 when Robin Brett lost for Congress to Howard Coble by less than 200 votes out of 200,000 cast.
Wow.
And he did not ask for a recount because he thought it'd make him look like a sore loser, and he didn't want that tag when he ran again. He ended up losing to Howard again, so maybe he should have gone for the recount.
The first time.
But because of that race, we now have an automatic recount.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about counting those ballots and when it actually becomes certified.
Okay, we're here with Charlie Collicutt, the Director of Elections here in Guilford County, and we're talking about what happens when the polls close. What's the process?
So we've got a lot going on right now. We're trying to get the data from our absentee ballots, the votes from those uploaded into our public system so everybody can see it. We're getting the early vote tabulation into that system so we can all see how those results are going. But all at the same time, the poll workers all at the precincts are shutting down tonight, and they're bringing those election results in to us so we can get those election day results from the polls uploaded as soon as we can.
And so we get all kinds of numbers throughout the night, but that's not when the actual counting is done.
Right. So immediately when the last voter is done after 7:30 at all of the 165 polling places, they begin doing their own individual tabulation of the ballots that they had cast at their sites. And that it's not a network, it's not a computerized system. So those have to be done at the site and then brought back into our office, where we then can display those results. At the same time, we're doing the absentee by mail here, and we're doing the early voting results as well.
All right, and then after that night, after election night, things aren't actually certified until some time later. So what's that process?
Right, we do a lot at this point. Starting on Wednesday morning, we're going to begin doing audits of the ballots to the voter history. We're going to be examining our provisional ballots to see if there's any provisionals that were cast on election day that are still going to be counted. And we're going to be doing just lots of audits along that timeline until we're finally canvassed on March 13th.
And I think a lot of people think to themselves, why does it take this long? And there have been years in the past where they said this is taking too long, but this is the process that it's been done this way for years.
Right. This is just a long process that we've always had, and it's just a lot of behind the scenes auditing, double checking, making sure that every single polling place, every single ballot got tabulated that was supposed to, looking at provisional ballots for voters that may have had an issue with their registration to see if that was something we could get cleared up. Just a lot of things that it just takes time to make sure that when we finally announce that it's finished and it's done right.
Okay. And so after that canvassing time and everything is certified and all of that, then we start looking to the general election.
That's right. Well, first we're going to see if here in Guilford or anywhere else, if we have to do a second primary, if there's any really close races within one party. But if we don't, yeah, we'll immediately start looking ahead to the November general election.
All right, and with that, people are going to once again be voting either early, and they're going to be going to different polling places, or they're going to be going on election day.
That's right. For November, this whole process starts again. We're going to have by mail voting, absentee. We're going to have early voting with a whole new set of sites, and we're going to have the election day voting on that Tuesday, just like we always do.
So people will always want to know if their vote counted. And so how will they be able to see if their primary vote counted?
Well, ultimately, by canvass, we'll have the voter history done where voters can see on the State Board of Elections voter lookup. You can go in, you'll be able to see your name, and you'll see voter history attached to it. And then know also through our auditing processes that we do post-election that the ballots were tabulated accurately.
Okay, so everybody can look at their own voter history and see when they voted, that kind of thing. They never get to see how they voted.
That's correct. How the voters individually vote once that ballot is cast, that's not something people can see, but voters can go and see that it's been documented that they voted and that voter history is tied to their ballot.
Okay, and if people need to register to vote, they need to do that during the early voting time, or they can do that before then. They just can't do it on election day and vote. Is that correct?
That's right. There's no registration on the Tuesday election day. But I would encourage all voters as we approach the November election, go ahead and get registered as soon as possible. The later you wait, you rely on having to do a same-day registration at early voting, or you'll be out of luck on election day. So we've got all summer to get that done.
All right. We'll be talking to you again, of course, about this and the process and what they need to bring to the polls and all that kind of stuff when we come to election day again in November. Thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
Another race that has already been called tonight, Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson will come back once again.
Yeah, Christina Dillon is at their party and talks about what he just said to everyone.
That's right. They called all the precincts, so Terry Johnson is officially the next sheriff for another 4 years. He's got a bunch of supporters here in this room. He is making a speech to the crowd, just saying that he's seen people in here tonight that he saw the very first time he ran in 2002. So he said he is heart-warmed. He says he wants to keep everybody safe, keep people's property safe. You can hear the cheers. People are just ecstatic right now. And Billy Clayton, his Republican opponent, did give him a call about 2 minutes ago and just, said congratulations. And he's up there making a speech to everyone right now and just a joyous mood. They had a live band and they were dancing, and he's excited to be the sheriff for the next 4 years. So we're going to try to catch up with him right after this.
From Alamance County over to Guilford. There's a lot on the ballot there today.
That's right, and I think we're going to concentrate on the Guilford County Board of Commissioners. 2 different races there, Commissioner at Large and District number 7 as well. Manning Franks is there.
I'm here at the courthouse right now, where they are currently, again, right below us, counting the ballots here for Guilford County. So right now they're at 60% last time we checked in, so they're still continually tabulating the ballots that they have received. So we'll keep you updated when it comes to all the different finishing of the tabulating that they have currently for the Board of Elections here in Guilford County. But right now I'm here in the Commissioner's Chamber. It's almost fitting, considering the county commissioners at this time is a big race, especially with the risk of property tax increase or adjustment of any kind, especially for most of those people like myself who are homeowners in Guilford County who got that tax or got that reassessment of their home. So the property tax is going to be a big thing, especially when it comes to the remainder of the rest of the year or going forward. And 2 of those races right now that are currently being fought out now for Democratic primaries are the at-large and District 7. Now, these 2 in particular, their current incumbents will not be running for re-election. I know Kay Cashin, who is at large, has been there for, I believe, over 2 decades, and she will be stepping down. So I know for a lot of the at-large individuals, we have 3 currently right now. Oh, and that is Greg Drumright, that is Toby Hedgepeth, and that is Amy Kim. So these 3 of the individuals that are currently running for the at-large seat. And I got to speak with them in particular about this property tax issue, and here's what they had to say.
For me, I would just continue to listen to the community, and I would encourage everybody in the community to attend the sessions that the commissioners are going to offer. I know that they do plan to offer those sessions, so I would encourage everybody to go out and make your voice heard. And for me, I think finding that sweet spot that balances both the local government services with keeping bills affordable is where I would land. I believe in transparency and fiscal responsibility. Those are the key priorities for me.
I hope that we can keep it as close to a revenue neutral rate as we possibly can. People are, worried that these, new tax rate will be proportionate to that assessment. And I can understand, because I'm feeling that same way. So I think, what I'm hoping for is that our county commissioners can, make that decision to not put something else on the shoulders of Guilford County residents.
If you know me, you know that I'm an advocate. You know that I've organized across our community and beyond from a broad perspective on issues that matter to people the most, especially issues around fairness. And I strongly support options to reduce the tax rate multiplier to offset this burden of increased evaluations. I'm impacted by it as well. And I've been talking to people all across Guilford County.
Now, last time I checked, Greg Drumright is currently up right now, 39.88%. and Amy Kemp is right behind him with 36%. Toby Hedgepeth is currently a distant third right now, but those two are currently vying for the at-large seat. Now, briefly in the District 7, actually right behind me, Walter Johnson III, who is, of course, the son of Yvonne Johnson, the former mayor of Greensboro. He is currently running here right now for District 7, and Lisa McMillan is also running for District 7. Now, that's something we're going to keep an eye on because she is currently up here the last time that I checked. And yes, I'd verify she is still up right now at this time by a couple hundred votes. But we will see how that plans to shape up because the county commissioners play a big role when it comes to your local elections. I'll be sure to keep you updated once I hear more from regards to either the website or from the different candidates, both here and currently out and about in the Guilford County area. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
While those local races are still too close to call, another congressional race now is set. We know it will be a rematch again in District 5. The Democratic primary was just called. Chuck Hubert got 58.2% of the vote over 24-year-old Kaya Creekmore, an A&T graduate. Chuck actually ran before against Virginia Fox, who easily won her primary with 74.5% of the vote. I just want to show you really quick what happened last time they ran in this district. Virginia Fox won by more than 19% of the vote. So she easily won that in a landslide. One district where it's still up in the air is Congressional District 6. This is for the Democratic challenger to incumbent Addison McDowell in November. The High Point mayor, Cyril Jefferson, only has 38.8% of the vote right now. Behind Alyssa Cassay, she works for the IRS. She's got 34.3% of the vote in that race. 86% of it reported so far. We're watching this one closely. Of course, the biggest race that we are watching tonight that is still too close to call is the Sam Page versus Phil Berger race. Take a look at District 26 right now at the State Senate. It's 52.5% for Sam Page compared to 47.5% for Phil Berger. There are just 1,100 votes between them. We do know that at this time, all of Rockingham County, 100% of it is in. Sam Page carried that 66% of the vote. But Guilford County, Phil Berger has been leading all night long. Right now, he's up 69% of the vote in Guilford County, and he's been gaining as the night's been going on there. Only 59% of the votes in Guilford County are in right now, so this race is still too close to call. Just a few minutes ago, Phil Berger actually went to his camp. He said, look, we wish we knew. We wish it was closer. We don't know right now. I'm going home for the night. I'll tell you more in the morning. Sam Page says that he is still hopeful and that he is gaining steam and that he thinks they're going to win. We'll continue to keep an eye on all of these races all night long.
All right, we're back here at the desk and we're both looking at our computers and seeing all the different parts of the different counties and things of that nature. What sticks out to you with this race?
Well, I'm looking at it now, and it, you know, I think you said about 60% of the vote is in Guilford, but Guilford has only cast about 8,500 votes. I was just looking at the vote totals. So even if, let's say 8,500 is, that's 60% of something like 14,000 votes. So there's, maybe Page can hold on if he's up by 1,100 and there's 4,000 left. It's Guilford County, if the percentages are right, may not have as many people voting as Rockingham
County.
Rockingham County, over 13,000 voted, and that shocks me.
And we have to remember too, Guilford County, a lot of it are Democrats who did not get to vote in this particular primary.
Right. But it's interesting to me, so if that's the case, I'm looking at Rockingham, that's 13,500, about 13,500 votes cast in Rockingham. Only so far about 8,000 cast in Guilford. And again, if that's 60%, you may have more votes cast in Rockingham than Guilford.
And we know that Rockingham County early voting was up 68% over the last non-presidential primary.
That is shocking to me that you got more votes cast in the Republican. I know Randolph's a more Republican, you know, Rockingham's a more Republican. We all know that, but wow. To have more votes cast in Rockingham County or even a similar number than the bulk of Guilford. Now, again, in Guilford, they've sort of drawn around Greensboro, so it's more rural area, but still, that's a shock to me.
It's pretty close, too close to call.
Oh, absolutely.
What happens if tomorrow Phil Berger does not win? what happens to his power in Raleigh?
Immediately, I think it goes down. Obviously, if he doesn't win, he's a lame duck. And those in office will immediately, whoever's going to be pro tem, is going to immediately start jockeying for. They probably already have. There's already, I'm sure, it's going to be a huge power shift. You've got, like I say, Mike Lee is the majority leader. I don't know who the other leaders are, but I guarantee you there's already talk about it. And even though he has another, until January, another 10 months to serve, he's going to be serving as a lame duck if he loses. And that will make a tremendous difference. The other thing is people also know they could wait him out if he's not going to come back. So we'll see.
You were also talking about, you thought that a lot of this had to do with why they maybe haven't passed a budget yet.
That's a rumor that I've heard, and it's only a rumor just from some people talking that they were going to wait and see what happened with this before they pass the budget, because right now Berger is the one that's keeping the Senate from passing it. Now, he's been able to line up the votes. If he's not the leader, or if he doesn't get reelected, I don't know if he'll have the power to hold the Republican caucus together against the budget that the House has agreed to.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this earlier in the night, so if you were not with us earlier in the night, we kind of talked about how it used to be that we had to have a budget.
Yeah.
Right? And then they passed a resolution that we didn't really have to have a budget.
Yeah, you know, at the federal level, if the budget doesn't pass, then the government shuts down. You know, we're still in a partial shutdown now because of that. In North Carolina, a few years ago, they passed a resolution that if it doesn't pass, we just stay with the old budget. So unless you were supposed to get a raise, or unless you were expecting additional money in the new budget, you don't really notice it. Teachers are still being paid, state workers are still being paid, roads are being paid. They didn't get their raises, but the rest of us aren't going to notice it, and you don't have that pressure to get the budget passed. I mean, because the budget was supposed to be passed July 31st.
Right.
So we're 6 months past when it was supposed to be. If that were at the federal level, there would be a lot of people who didn't get paid, and there'd be an outcry. Nobody really notices it in North Carolina because nothing really changing.
Something that they also did not pass was the Trump One Big Beautiful Bill, or H.R. 1. So you can't do any of those kinds of things. Oh, hold on.
Right now we're hearing from Alamance County Sheriff Terry Johnson, who just won.
Okay.
Just talk to him.
Yep, that's right. I'm here with Terry Johnson, who just won sheriff for the next few years. Terry, how you feeling?
I'm feeling fine. Tired. It's a long, hard road, but I'm relieved.
You mentioned to me earlier that you were a little bit nervous, but you were hopeful. So now that it's done, what's kind of that weight lifted off your chest?
A ton has been lifted off my shoulders. I love the people here in Alamance. I was born and raised here, and I believe in enforcing the law and protecting our citizens here, and they turned out and showed me how much they appreciate it.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to do in the next 4 years? What are your plans?
I'm hoping that we can get enough monies in the county to increase our technology to catch our criminals. And certainly the population is growing tremendously here in Alamance County, and we're going to need a few more officers to do that. And because if I can't enforce the law and protect our people, I just soon turn my badge in.
I want to ask you one more question, Sheriff Johnson. You've got your wife here with you, and I saw your kids up there, and I heard the song they played for you. What's it like to have your family with you in these moments?
Wonderful. It's wonderful. My family has stuck by me, and I've told them in there. One time I told my wife, I said, honey, you know, I've been in this business 54 years, and if our shoes were switched, I'd have left you a long time ago. She has put up with a lot of stuff, a lot of nights that I wasn't home, a lot of months I wasn't home. And different things, and she stuck that right there with me. So I think I'll hang on to her for a while.
Well, there we go. Thank you guys so much. Congratulations, Sheriff. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
Live in Burlington, Christina Dillon, WFMY News 2.
Thanks so much, Christina. So Alamance County, they have their sheriff, as they've always had their sheriff, at least for the last 20-something years or so, because he's running uncontested. So the sheriff's race is over, and Terry Johnson is once again the sheriff in Alamance County.
Guilford County Sheriff right now, much tighter race. We still don't have a Republican nominee, and whoever is nominated will go on to face Danny Rogers, the incumbent.
And so then we've also got a couple of other sheriff's races, right? We've got one in Randolph County and Davidson County, and I believe whoever wins those races too, they don't have anybody opposing them. So those sheriff's races will be called when we get those results in.
And of course, the Rockingham County Sheriff's race is opened up because Sheriff Sam Page is running for state senate. An update on the state senate race. Right now, it is getting even closer. At the moment, only 349 votes separate the two candidates. Sam Page has a slight edge right now, but most of Guilford County is still not in. There's 140 precincts, only 100 have been reported so far. And I'm looking at the precinct map right now. It's a lot on the eastern part of the county and several up there on the northern part of the county on the border with
Of Rockingham County.
Could those go from Page because they know him more up there?
I think so, and these are the least populated precincts if you look where they are.
So it's not a whole lot of votes.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot of votes in terms of, but it's not hard to make 300 votes up. I still think that it's leaning towards Berger here.
Yeah, our Nixon Norman was at one of these precincts earlier today that has not reported yet, and she said at hers alone, there was about 400 people that came out just today. That doesn't include early voting.
Yeah, now it's down to 300. If I'm Page, I'm getting pretty worried.
And it's interesting because Phil Berger was the one who said, okay, we're just leaving the party, and we're leaving the party early, and we're just going to talk about it tomorrow, which is not something that we normally see.
No, and again, he's not used to being in close races. Maybe that's it. And it's funny because Page isn't either. I mean, he's won sheriff by big margins for years and often uncontested. But it's interesting, each of them seem to be reading the tea leaves differently. They said, I believe she said Page has been happier, gotten happier through the night, and it's clear that Berger wasn't real happy.
I'm sure it's been a roller coaster for sure.
Let's pull up these results so you can see them for yourself in this State Senate District 26 race for the Republican seat. If we can take a look here.
For the graphics there, the winner is going to be facing Steve Luking, right, in the November general election.
Yeah, but they're pretty much guaranteed to win.
Yeah, this is one of those races that it was designed for a Republican to win.
I mean, the only thing is if I'm Luking, all you got to do is run the ad of the other Republican. If somehow Page wins, all you got to run is all of Berger's ads talking about how bad Page was. But yeah, the way the district's drawn would be very, very unlikely.
Another race that's been really hot tonight, if we can pull up race number 300, the Guilford County Sheriff Republican, we do know that Danny Rogers is running again.
Right.
He's running unopposed. So on the Republican side, it could either be Phil Berger or William Queen.
And he faced Phil Berger the last time and beat Phil Berger.
And right now, Phil Berger has 69% of the vote to go up again.
Okay. When we look at the Guilford County Commissioners at Large race, you've got Democrat Kay Cashin, who currently holding the seat. She is not running for re-election. So the folks that you have, that's actually the District 7 race. So that's Lisa McMillan and that's Walter Johnson. So this one is currently held by Frankie Jones Jr. and he is not running for re-election. You see that Lisa McMillan is right now on top, but still it's a really tight margin.
Really, really close. There's about 24% of the votes still out there, though, so it could be anyone's game on this one.
All right, as we head to the next race, let's see the next race that we have coming up. I'm guessing that it's going to be Guilford County Board of Education, District 4, and that's what we're looking at here. Linda Welburn holds the current seat, not running from what we know. So we've got these list of names from Ebony and Irish Michelle and Sherry Smith Walker, and right now Ebony Burnett is at 50%.
And whoever wins this will face Tracy Gaskins, the Republican, in November.
All right, as we move along to Guilford County Board of Education, District 6, you've got the incumbent there, Kim. Well, we skipped that one. Okay, and now we're at the Superior Court. And so we've got David Churchill, we've got Cinnamon Hunter, and the winner's going to take the seat. There is no November challenger, and David Churchill right now winning by plenty.
Next up, a big hot race tonight, the Forsyth County Board of Education at Large, the Democrats. So as we're waiting to pull this up here, number 408, the Democrats, what's really interesting about this is that you could vote for 3 of them, and those 3 will go on to the primary to face 3 Republicans. So if we can pull that up here.
Yep, you got it.
We have got in the lead, this looks like the second half of it, Rhonda Mays with 16% of the vote, Elizabeth Motzinger with 13, and Linda Winkoff with 13% of the vote. Again, there were so many candidates in this that they just don't take a lot of the vote.
Right. I mean, 37 candidates overall when we're talking about these 9 different seats. 6 of the incumbents are actually running again. Race number 410, that's Board of Education District 1, as we're going through all these Forsyth County seats, and you see this. Right now, Travonia Brown Gaither is leading that pack at 22%. 2 winners in the March primary take on Mike Kleintobe in November.
And then we go to Board of Education District 2, Democrats. If we can see who's there, we've got Lee Childress with 16% of the votes. And Board of Education District 2, Republicans.
Okay, so the Republicans for Board of Education District 2, there are three incumbents that are running for that one. I'm not seeing that on the race there. That is still the Democrats' race. For Board of Education District 2 seats, there'll be 4 Democratic winners and 4 Republican winners as well. Let's move on, if we can, to Board of Commissioners at Large, and that's going to be 415. Do we have race 415? That's the Board of Commissioners at Large, and that is for the Republicans. So you see there, go ahead.
That whoever wins this one is going to go on to win the seat because there's no challenger in November. And we've got our race, Rockingham County Sheriff, Republican.
That's 506.
Yeah, so this is Sam Page's seat.
Okay.
And we have a winner now. Billy Parker has been projected the winner by the Associated Press with 43% of the vote, 100% of the vote in here. He will probably go on to replace Sheriff Sam Page.
Yeah, they take on the Democratic Sheriff's candidate, right? But
It's Rockingham
it's
County.
a Rockingham County and it's a Republican county. Okay, so when we take a look at 604 Alamance County Sheriff, the Republican side, and we've seen that it was called. We talked to Terry Johnson. We saw him saying he was very thankful that people put him back in office again and that he'd keep his wife for a little longer since she stuck by his side.
You know, he's been in the office since 2002, and he said, I actually see people in this room tonight that were here that helped me got elected the first time.
Wow.
So he's had some long-time support in that county.
Okay, let's go to 704 Randolph County Sheriff. This is the Republican ticket here, 704 Randolph County Sheriff. This race has not been called yet. The incumbent is Greg Seabolt. Right now, he is leading the pack at 63%. His first election was back in 2018. No Democratic challenger here, so whoever wins this primary wins the sheriff's seat.
100% reporting.
Okay. So yeah, with 100% reporting.
You would think it would be called, but it's not as of yet, but yes.
It's pretty safe to say he will probably take this. Davidson County Sheriff, also another incumbent there. We've got Richie Simmons. Let's see how he did in race 806. Clearly almost 90% of the vote, 100% in. He will hold on to that seat with no Democratic challenger in November.
All right, and race 1204 in our listing. This is the Stokes County Sheriff. This is on the Republican ticket. Again, 100% reporting, and Joey Lemons is winning at 77%. He is the incumbent as well. Served as sheriff since 2021. He was appointed when the previous sheriff retired, won re-election then the next time around. Winner takes the sheriff's seat, so no Democratic challenger, so Joey Lemons is back to being the sheriff.
So we saw a bunch of races called, but there is still one big one that is too close to call. Right now, there are 349 votes that separate Sam Page and Phil Berger.
And I think everybody's just, I think everybody's just surprised that it is that close.
I don't know. I think we all knew it was going to be close. But again, given the high turnout in Rockingham County, that's pretty impressive. Without that high turnout, this wouldn't be close.
And I want to say that 82% of the vote in Guilford County is in right now. That's what we're waiting, is that other 18% of the vote in Guilford County, if it will go towards Berger or Sam
So
Page.
let's say, so far, how many votes have been cast? 7,000, somewhere around 11,000?
Yeah.
So around 11,000. So let's say 11,000 is 80% of maybe 13,000. So only a couple thousand votes left.
But this is huge. I just looked at the precinct map, and a lot of the precincts in this particular district are now in from Guilford County.
Okay.
There's only 3 precincts in the district that are still out. The rest of the votes from Guilford County that are not in are from the urban areas of Greensboro.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing 67% for Berger and 32% for Page. Is that right?
And that's in Guilford
In
County.
Guilford County,
In Guilford
yes.
County.
Well, it's interesting. His percentage has dropped a little bit. It was almost 70%.
So the question is, in those 3 rural precincts of Guilford County, are there more than 334 votes that could sway towards Berger?
Or in those urban districts where there's some unaffiliated or some Democrats who registered as unaffiliated so they could vote in this.
Well, but they don't get to vote because it's not in that district.
Oh,
What's interesting,
okay. Those little.
What's interesting
Okay.
about this district in Guilford County is it actually
The way it
it
was
wraps
created.
all the way around the edges and skips Greensboro.
Right,
Okay,
Greensboro doesn't get to vote.
But it looked like from that map you showed a while ago that there were some. What are these little areas here?
Those are in Greensboro.
But they're not.
Yeah, they're
part
not
of the district.
Yeah, they're not part of the district. So really, it's 3 big district, 3 precincts.
Yeah, because I thought the district had to be contiguous. I didn't know if you could have it like that. but I
Yeah.
guess you must be able to. Okay, so it's just those 3.
Yeah. So it's
And those
really
are
tight.
not. And those are not. Maybe Page Hills. Those are not real populated areas of Guilford County. When you get over on the northeastern part of the county, might not be that many votes.
So it could be that this race is headed for a recount. There's less than
I
1% that separates them
there's a
right
really
now.
good chance there may be a recount, if regardless of who wins. Again, not knowing how many votes are out there, but if it's only, let's say it's only 500 votes, even if Berger wins 70%, that's not enough to make up almost 400 votes.
We're gonna have
We'll
to see.
see.
What happens. Maybe he was right to leave early and say, we're just going to leave this for tomorrow.
Yeah, we
All right.
will see.
We
Wow.
want to check in with our Lauren Tier, who is in Forsyth County, because, again, 37 candidates vying for those spots.
Busy night.
Yeah, we can't talk about it enough. 37. It sounds like a lot because it is a lot. Right now, I'm outside of the Democratic Party headquarters in Winston-Salem for Forsyth County. I just wrapped up inside where we were at the Democratic Party watch party. About a dozen people, including some candidates, were sticking around till the end, watching these results continue to come in. The last I checked, we're at about 75% of the precincts here in Forsyth County have reported their ballots. Again, the most highly contested races in Forsyth County are for 9 seats on the Board of Education for Winston-Salem Forsyth County schools. We know that there have been a lot of problems within the district. Again, that $46 million budget deficit that led to hundreds of job cuts and furloughs and benefit cuts in the Exceptional Children's Program took a big hit, as well as other areas like assistant principals across the district. So what we heard from a lot of voters here in Forsyth County was that they want change. Interestingly enough, there are 6 incumbents of the current 9 board members who are seeking re-election. But if I look at some of these numbers, it's looking to me like here we have the incumbent running for the Democratic at-large seat. He is not in the top 3. That's Richard Watts. We can look back down here, though, for District 1, again in the Democratic seats. The 2 incumbents are at the top for that race. So again, it's an interesting breakdown of what these seats look like. There are 3 open positions for at-large, 2 open positions in District 1, and 4 open positions in District 2. Again, just these primary races, they're narrowing down to get to what will be on the ballot in November. Some other races we're looking at here in Forsyth County, there is a district judge seat that is open, as well as several Board of Commissioners seats. Again, right now we're looking at about 75% of the precincts in Forsyth County that have reported their votes. That is 81 out of 108 precincts. Again, the one we're keeping the closest eye on is going to be that Board of Education race. 37 candidates, 24 Democrats, 13 Republicans, all looking for 9 spots to be on the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education. I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Lauren. We are kind of wrapping things up here for primary election night. When you take a look at where we are now with this Berger-Sam Page race, what are your thoughts?
It's really going to come down to those 3 precincts, and I think those are relatively low population precincts, but I could be wrong. Depending on it, might be hard to make up 350 votes, which is what right now Berger is behind by 350. Let's say there's 500 votes there. Even if he wins 68, 70%, that's not going to be enough. So we will see, but And I think we were talking. I think it's going to come. There's going to be a recount. I think either way, regardless who wins, it's going to be less than 1%.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a recount.
Right now, you're at exactly 1%. So.
Yeah. And even if a Berger takes it over, he's not going to be taking it by 2 points. So I think we're looking at a recount, definitely.
So what I'm taking away is tomorrow we're going to be talking about this, and we're going to be seeing all the ads of Cooper Watley on TV.
Yes.
Yep, you know that they're in the can, ready to run. So we'll be seeing them.
And kind of still interesting that Cooper won by so much in his primary. Watley, it seemed like his kind of like notched down as even more precincts came in.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I saw it, it was 67 when they called it. It's down to about 64. Again, that's obviously a solid win. He's still, almost 40 points ahead with the second one. But that means over a third of the Republicans did not vote for him. And what struck me is if these numbers are right, there are over 100,000 more people voted in the Democratic primary statewide than the Republican primary. And that shows a huge enthusiasm gap because there are more Republicans than Democrats in this state.
Especially
and that's really huge.
Especially with such hot Republican races on the ballot.
Right. It wasn't like there was any, the only statewide race was Cooper, and he wins by 92%. Everybody knew who that was going to be. And yet, there were 100,000 more people that voted in his race than voted in the Watley race. And if I'm a Republican, I'm really worried about that because that shows, at least to me, there's a big enthusiasm gap right now. Democrats are really excited to vote. Republicans, not as much.
Especially when you consider there's more Republicans in our
right,
state.
Exactly.
UNCG political science professor Tom Little, he's fantastic. He gives us all the context. We so appreciate you being here.
Glad to be here. Enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Hey, join us for WFMY News 2 at 11. We're going to check back in with this Berger-Page race and all the other important races in our area.
Welcome to Primary Night 2026. Big wins in North Carolina. The stage is set for the November race for U.S. Senator.
Yeah, but it's a different story for the District 26 race in the state Senate. Let's start there. Voters first elected Senator Phil Berger back in 2000. Sheriff Sam Page is looking to flip that seat. Boy, it just can't get much closer than 50-50. We still have just 96% of the precincts reporting, 4% left. Ben.
So at this point, we have all of the votes from Rockingham County are in. We're just waiting on Guilford County. Specifically, looking at the map, we are waiting on 2 precincts from Guilford County that have not yet reported. Sedgefield and Gibsonville. Once those 2 come in, we should know if there's a winner, but it's likely that this race is going to head to a recount because it is just so close, Julie and Chad.
And also, Governor Cooper wins the Democratic bid for U.S. Senate and also taking on Michael Watley, more at 11.
Breaking tonight, the race between Rockingham County Sheriff Sam Page and State Senator Phil Berger is too close to call, 50 to 49%. Results are new and next.
Seat. His supporters say that they are happy for him, and we spent